The world of zombies, beginning with a golden spell at maximum level. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 126. We are not hungry. Bullshit, you dare to curse me. Believe it or not, I will kill you. The gatekeeper raised the gun behind him, pointed at Lin Kaiyun with a fierce look. In this era of constant war, most soldiers have been on the battlefield. Even the gatekeepers have fierce eyes. If ordinary people were pointed at with a gun like this, they would probably be scared. But Lin Kaiyun was obviously not one of them. Hey, Lin Kaiyun showed no fear, stretched out his finger to push the gun away, and continued to say with squinted eyes, "Did you gamble today? Did you lose? And lost badly?" The gatekeeper's hand holding the gun trembled, obviously a little surprised, and asked quickly, "How do you know?" When Lin Kaiyun saw the gatekeeper's look, he knew that he was right, and while he was working, he continued, "I said that your forehead was black, and the bad luck could have been dissipated tonight, but if you stop these corpses, you will probably be unlucky for more than half a month." When the gatekeeper heard it, he immediately hid far away, opened the city gate, and began to drive people away. "Hurry in, don't let this bad luck entangle me again, let's go." Lin Kaiyun was the first to step into the town. After entering the town, everyone also took the road outside, one to avoid disturbing others, and the other was that most of the charity cemeteries were on the edge. Ahao and Akayan came to Lin Kaiyun curiously and asked with envy, "Senior brother, how do you know that the gatekeeper lost money? Did you really calculate it? How long have you learned it?" Lin Kaiyun smiled and said, "Actually, I just guessed. No way." Ahao and Akayan were a little confused and didn't understand what Lin Kaiyun meant. "Haha, really?" Lin Kaiyun laughed twice and patiently explained, "Didn't you notice just now? There is a layer of calluses on the right hand of the gatekeeper. These calluses are not formed by training, but by gambling calluses from shaking the sieve, and his clothes are all patched. He is poor, but he still likes to gamble. He must lose money often. Do you understand now?" After hearing this, Ahao and Akayan suddenly realized it. They looked at Lin Kaiyun with admiration and exclaimed again and again, "So that's it, brother, you are so amazing. Just by observing, you let the gatekeeper pass." Mommy also heard what the few people said in the back and said seriously, "You two really don't give me face. It's obvious that the wealth palace on that person's face is dim. Didn't I teach you? You can see it if you look more carefully." Lin Kaiyun just smiled and didn't say anything when he heard this. This mommy is just a face-saving person and has some argumentative attributes. The originally happy atmosphere was instantly awkward and cold because of mommy's interference. After walking for a while, they found a charity house, which was also an inn that specialized in receiving corpse-driving paper men. "How many rooms do you want?" The innkeeper was an extremely ugly old man who was indifferent to the reception of the few people. "Open 2 rooms. One for us, the master and the apprentice, and one for you two." Mamidi shook the little money left in his pocket, and slapped it on the chopping board with some reluctance, and then asked Lin Kaiyun, "Kaiyun, how about it?" There was no other way. Mamidi was really short of money. In order to save money, he could only do this. After all, as a master uncle, he couldn't let the younger generation spend money when he was away from home. Lin Kaiyun took out $2 and threw them to the innkeeper, saying generously, "Boss, 1 room for each person, no need to change." "Okay." When the innkeeper saw the dollars, his expression changed all of a sudden. He picked them up enthusiastically and put them in his clothes, saying, "But, there are only 2 rooms in the inn." "2? Lin Kaiyun was a little surprised. The innkeeper nodded and explained, "Yes, the inn is for corpse drivers to stay in, and most of the space is for corpses. 2 rooms are enough, but I didn't expect you to have so many living people this time. 2 rooms is 2 rooms. Anyway, you and Miss Kaking live in a cave, it's okay to live in 1 room, Mama said, making the decision for Lin Kaiyun, and then stretched out her hand to the innkeeper, begging, "2 rooms don't cost $2, give us 1. Of course the innkeeper didn't want to, and he covered his hand tightly, with an expression that he would never pay back the money no matter what. "No, this handsome young master has already given me the money." Mamidi was obviously not going to give up, and pointed and cursed, "You guy." "Okay, Uncle Mamidi, the extra money will be considered as food expenses." Seeing this, Lin Kaiyun quickly grabbed Mamadi, who was about to rush up, and then shouted to the innkeeper, "Give us more good dishes." "Don't worry," the innkeeper agreed contentedly. These $2 were equal to his monthly income, and in this war-torn era, the dollars would only appreciate and not depreciate. HMPH, Mamadi snorted coldly. It was obvious that Lin Kaiyun's actions had made him, the uncle, lose face. He shouted unhappily, "Aheo, Akiang, put the body away and go into the house." Lin Kaiyun had long been accustomed to it and didn't care. He let King into the room. After a while, the innkeeper shouted, "Everyone, the food has been placed on the table in the backyard." Although Mamadi had just entered the room angrily, looking like he would not eat the food that was given out of pity, when he heard that he could eat, he had no backbone and walked out directly with his 2 apprentices. It was already dawn at this time. Breakfast for ordinary people was equivalent to dinner for the corpse drivers, because after eating, they would rest in the inn during the day and would continue their journey at night. Because of the $2, the innkeeper prepared a very hard meal. Although the cooking skills were not good, it was basically meat. As long as it was cooked, it would have a meaty aroma. Mamadi sat on the stool, without any courtesy, and grabbed a chicken leg and started to chew it. Ahao and Akiang were the same. They ate extremely brutally and took whatever they could get their hands on. Lin Kaiyun did not have any obsession with cleanliness. He also tore the hare roasted in the cave last night with his hands. But Mamadi's hands were not ordinary hands. The grease and dirt on them alone could not be formed overnight. Before taking the chicken leg, Mamadi picked her nose. After Mamadi finished chewing the chicken leg, she reached out and picked up a river fish. As a result, she saw Lin Kaiyun and King holding chopsticks motionlessly, so she asked, "Huh? You two are eating? Aren't you hungry?" "Yes, we are not hungry." Hearing this, Lin Kaiyun put down his chopsticks and said in a casual tone. King also agreed, "Haha, I'm not hungry." "If you're not hungry, then I won't be polite." Mama didn't notice anything wrong at all, and directly grabbed the whole chicken with her other hand. With one hand holding the chicken and the other holding the fish, she started eating it, with oil and residue falling onto the linen clothes that had already changed color. King felt a little nauseous, and turned her head and said, "Brother Lin, we're not hungry anyway, why don't we go back and rest?" "I think that's fine." Lin Kaiyun immediately stood up and ran back to the room as if he was running for his life. Chapter 127 Senior Brother is Awesome. Several people rested in the inn. The town was not big, and Lin Kaiyun did not take King out for a walk. The day passed by in a flash. The sun went down, and the sky gradually darkened. Several people in the inn came out of their rooms and got busy. Mama symbolically washed her face, looked up at the sky, shook the water off her hands, and shouted to Aheo and Akiang, "Aheo, Akiang, settle all the customers, relight the cinnabar, and the talisman." "Yes, master." Aheo and Akiang were sleepy, obviously not enough sleep, and walked towards the front yard in a daze. Soon, they heard the sound of jumping. Presumably the two had driven the zombies out of the yard. King, aren't you very curious why those corpses are so obedient?" "I'll take you to see." Lin Kaiyun took King to the outside of the front yard, and watched Aheo and Akiang reseal the zombies. Aheo and Akiang were holding a cinnabar bowl and a talisman in their hands respectively. "Akiang, I'll apply the cinnabar first, and then you can draw the talisman," Aheo said to Akiang. Then he picked up the brush and applied it to the zombie's body. King looked at these zombies without any fear. Instead, she looked at them very carefully and asked curiously, "Brother Lin, why do you use cinnabar pen to paint? Is there any explanation?" "There must be an explanation." Lin Kaiyun nodded, pointing at the cinnabar marks on Ahao's painting and explaining, "You see, Ahao's cinnabar pen is placed on the zombie's forehead, chest, vest, soles of the feet, and palms. These 7 places correspond to the 7 souls in front of the body. Although the zombie has long lost its 7 souls, this can prevent the zombie from being disturbed by other wandering souls and causing it to resurrect. As for the ears, nose, and mouth, the cinnabar is used to block the zombie's sense of smell to prevent it from causing a riot after smelling human breath." After hearing this, King opened her mouth slightly. She was very interested in this kind of interesting popularization. At least it was much more interesting than when she was practicing Buddhism with Master Ikyu. She asked, "Really? Can zombies go berserk when they smell human scent?" Lin Kaiyun replied affirmatively, "Of course, if the talisman is ineffective, the zombie will wake up as long as it smells human scent." "The talisman is ineffective." King was a little confused. Can a talisman be ineffective? That's right. For example, the cinnabar is scattered, it is rained on, it is scratched by branches, and it is taken away by someone. As soon as Lin Kaiyun finished speaking, Ahao and Akaiyang made a mistake in coordination. Ahao should have finished lighting the cinnabar, and Akaiyang should have changed the talisman. As a result, Akaiyang yawned and changed the wrong zombie, and took off the talisman of the zombie next to him that had not been relit with cinnabar. After a long period of corpse driving, the cinnabar on the zombie had long been dried and blown away. As soon as the talisman was taken off, the zombie's sense of smell immediately smelled the human scent. Roar! The zombie suddenly opened his eyes and stretched out his claws to grab Akaiyang. It's a zombie, help! Akaiyang was strangled by the neck and struggled desperately for help. Ahao reacted quickly, threw down the cinnabar bowl, turned around and strangled the zombie's neck, and used all his strength to pry it back, shouting hurriedly. Akaiyang, put the talisman on it quickly, I can't put it on. I can't breathe. Akaiyang tried hard to stick the talisman on the zombie's forehead, but his body was constantly shaken by the zombie, and his hand holding the talisman couldn't keep steady. In addition, the zombie was strangling his neck, and his face turned red. See. Kinking. Sometimes the ineffectiveness of the talisman is caused by human factors, Lin Kaiyun said to Kinking, then took a step forward, pulled Ahao off the zombie, and swung his arm to hit the zombie's chest. Plop. The zombie flew backwards, like a bowling ball, knocking the other zombies to the ground. Oh, did I hit too hard? Lin Kaiyun raised his hand and looked at it. These zombies were just low-level zombies, and they had almost no resistance in front of him. Ahem. Akaiyang collapsed on the ground, holding his neck and breathing heavily. Ahao pulled Akaiyang up and asked, Ahem, are you okay? It's okay, thanks to my senior brother. Ahao gradually recovered and looked at Lin Kaiyun gratefully. It's a small matter, Lin Kaiyun waved his hand indifferently. At this time, Ahao raised his hand in horror and pointed behind Lin Kaiyun, reminding, senior brother, be careful, the zombies are alive. It turned out that the talismans of the zombies that were hit just now fell off, and now they all pounced on Lin Kaiyun. Even if Ahao didn't remind him, Lin Kaiyun felt it with his 5 senses. He turned around slowly and faced the 10 zombies that pounced on him. He raised one hand calmly, with his palm facing outward. Bagua Zhang, turn back, the mark of Bagua appeared under Lin Kaiyun's feet. His palm spun, driving his whole body to spin non-stop. A layer of spiritual energy surrounded him, and all the zombies were bounced away. Then Lin Kaiyun's 10 fingers shot out tiny lightning, like silk threads, entangled all 10 zombies. He pulled hard, and all 10 zombies fell in front of him. Get up, Lin Kaiyun's fingers moved, like playing a piano. The zombies seemed to have become puppets without resistance. They stood up obediently and lined up in 2 rows under his control. Lin Kaiyun clapped his hands and said to Ahao and Akaiyang, okay, you guys continue. Remember not to touch the zombies' bodies, be careful of the electric shock. Yes, Ahao and Akaiyang stood aside in amazement, and responded subconsciously. The 2 picked up the cinnabar bowl and the talisman, and whispered to Lin Kaiyun, wow, senior brother is so awesome. The zombie didn't even touch senior brother's clothes, and was knocked away. Kinking covered her mouth and laughed, and smiled at Lin Kaiyun, brother Lin, they seem to regard you as an idol, keep a low profile, keep a low profile. Lin Kaiyun deliberately put his hands behind his back, looking like he had everything under control. After a while, Mamadi came out, with his hands tied around his waist, and scolded, I'm going to the toilet, why are you so noisy? Are you playing games with zombies again? After scolding Ahao and Akaiyang, Mamadi looked at the zombies and immediately found something unusual, and hurried forward, what's going on? Why are these customers so dirty? And this one, why is its chest collapsed? After saying that, Mamadi reached out and touched the zombie that was knocked away by Lin Kaiyun. Zilla. Suddenly, the current on the zombie ran wildly, and Mamadi was also shocked and jumped on the spot. Mamadi's scalp was numb, and she was hit by the lightning. She couldn't break free, and she shouted tremblingly, hurry up, save me, Master, how can we save you? Ahao and Akaiyang were a little confused and at a loss. At this time, Lin Kaiyun shouted, get up. After saying that, Lin Kaiyun started running. Seeing this, Ahao and Akaiyang quickly made way and moved the zombies next to them away. Without obstacles, Lin Kaiyun sprinted, flew into the air, and kicked Mamadi on the lower back. My old waist, Mamadi screamed, his hands separated from the lightning, and he flew several meters away. Chapter 128 Nintendo. The Yin people are hurrying on their way, the Yang people are getting out of the way, the Yin people are hurrying on their way, the Yang people are getting out of the way. Did you two not eat? Speak louder. Yes, master. Arhao and Akaiyang knew that their master was in a bad mood, so they immediately shrank their necks and shouted even more. He rubbed his lower back numbly, with a very ugly look on his face, walking behind the corpse driving team, and occasionally glanced at Lin Kaiyun. Lin Kaiyun smiled harmlessly, spread his hands and said innocently, Uncle Mamadi, I just saved you, you won't hold a grudge, right? I think you're just taking revenge. Hearing this, Mamadi was stunned for a moment, muttering something in his mouth, and then his tense face immediately relaxed, and waved his hands with a smile. How could it be? Although Uncle Mamadi hates evil, he is still very reasonable. Unlike your master, Uncle Mamadi, you can understand my painstaking efforts, and my heart is so warm. Lin Kaiyun patted his chest and said seriously. At this time, a song rang in his heart. Actor. How can I turn a blind eye to the performance that I should cooperate with you? Lin Kaiyun acted innocently as a youngster should, and asked Mamadi very sensibly, Uncle Mamadi, I see you always hold your waist with your hands, would you like me to press the acupoints for you? It will definitely work, no need. Mamadi quickly refused and said with a smile, Kaiyun, thank you for your thoughtfulness. Uncle Mamadi is in good health, it will be fine after some rest. Although Lin Kaiyun's expression was extremely natural, Mamadi knew that the boy was not so kind, and it would be unreliable to ask him to press the acupoints. King saw that Mamadi's expression was very nervous, and it was obvious that he did not trust Lin Kaiyun. She raised her arm and elbowed Lin Kaiyun. I say, what have you done in the past? I saw your uncle, and I was afraid that you would press his acupuncture points. This is wronging me. How could I, such an innocent person, do such a thing to deceive others? Upon hearing this, Lin Kaiyun immediately condemned such remarks with righteous words, and then quietly said, that is, when I was helping Mamadi's uncle heal his injuries, I tried the acupuncture method I researched, and gave him some pills I developed. King laughed and gave Lin Kaiyun a thumbs up. Ha ha ha, brother Lin, your uncle left Renjia town. I'm afraid he had a conflict with your master, right? I guess he was afraid of your conspiracy. Lin Kaiyun leaned close to King's ear and whispered, that's not the case. My master is even more cruel. He always uses helping with cultivation as an excuse to torture Mamadi's uncle both mentally and physically. King was a little unconvinced and asked in confusion, no way? Why did I hear from Taoist Semu that your master, Master Lin Jiu, seemed to be a very rigid person? Lin Kaiyun shook his head, come on. My master is rigid only on the surface, he is also a man who cares about his reputation. When he was young, he was also a passionate person, and he beat up my uncles many times. King had an expression of realization and shared the secret of her master with Lin Kaiyun. Hey, let me tell you, I heard that my master, Master Ikaiu, had a very hot temper when he was young, and he would always call him the Great Power Heavenly Dragon. When Lin Kaiyun heard the name of the Great Power Heavenly Dragon, he was stunned for a moment and asked in confusion, the Great Power Heavenly Dragon. Does your master have a Dharma name? Is he called Fenghou? What Fenghou? King shook her head and said, my master's Dharma name is Ikaiu. Oh, that's okay. The night was long, and Lin Kaiyun and King chatted with each other. Mama stood with his hands behind his back with a sour face, and no one knew what he was thinking. However, Arhao and Akaiyang, who were leading the way, were very energetic. Their movements were meticulous, and the frequency of the bells was neither too fast nor too slow, very solid. Arhao, stop for a moment, there is no more paper money. I'll go get some from the master. Akaiyang's cloth bag was almost empty. He hurried to Mamadi's side, refilled the bag with paper money, and started to scatter it again. Generally, corpses will be scattered with paper money. This paper money is called toll money and paving money. The yin energy is the heaviest at night. In the wilderness, it is inevitable to encounter some wandering ghosts. These paper money can just buy off the little ghosts and save trouble. I don't know how long they walked, and it was almost dawn. The group came to a fork in the road. At this time, Mamadi spoke up, Ahau, the road on the right leads to Renjiazhuang. You send Nintendo's body over there, and Akaiyang and I will send the rest of the bodies. Nintendo? When Lin Kaiyun heard the name, he was a little surprised. He hadn't paid attention to these zombies before, but he didn't expect Nintendo to be in this zombie team. He focused his eyes and looked at each zombie. One of the short zombies attracted Lin Kaiyun's attention. This zombie looks similar to the one in the movie. It should be Nintendo. Ah. Just me alone. Aha was reluctant to go when he heard it. Mama cleared her throat, spat on the ground, and said, "Don't you always say that your skills in driving corpses are improving quickly? I'm giving you a chance to show yourself. Besides, there's only one zombie. Can't you handle it?" "I can handle it, but..." Mama raised her unique dirty hand and patted Aha on the shoulder. "But what? Master gave you a chance to show off, and you still don't want to go. Master, can you not let me go alone?" Aha suddenly had a headache. If it were before, Aha would still be willing to go to deliver the corpses alone. After all, there are benefits after delivering to the customer's home. Generally, some money will be given as reward, and at worst, some food will be given. He goes alone, and all these are his own. However, the zombie resurrected before, which made Aha a little scared. If there is another rampage, he can't handle it by himself. At this time, Lin Kaiyun stood up and said, "Uncle Mamadi, I will go with Aha. It's just right that I'm going to Ren Tingting to meet a friend." Before Mamadi could say anything, Aha shouted excitedly, "Great, senior brother, it would be great if you go." After all, Lin Kaiyun's methods before made Aha remember them in his heart, and he immediately felt safe. "Okay," Mamadi nodded without thinking too much. At a fork in the road, the troop split into two groups. Lin Kaiyun, King, and Aha set off towards Ren Tingting with a zombie Nintendo. It is not common to see three people chasing a zombie. Since there's more people, there is no need to scatter paper money or shout slogans. Aha can just ring the bell and command Nintendo. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 129 I'm your brother-in-law. The sky in the east was turning pale, the sun was rising, and the sunlight was shining on the earth. Yes, it was daybreak. Logically, as soon as the sun rose, the corpse drivers had to find a place to rest. First, they couldn't disturb other people. In this era, people were still buried after death, and cremation was only used to burn corpses for sacrifices or sinful people. So most people are not unfamiliar with corpse driving, but even if they are not unfamiliar, most people still don't want to see corpse driving, and they think it is very unlucky. So the corpse drivers will not drive corpses during the day unless they have to. Another reason is that these zombies are very afraid of the sun. At the least, their skin will burn, and at the worst, they will turn into ashes. Brother, is this really possible? Brother Lin, why don't we find a place and set off at night? Aha and King, both surrounded Lin Kaiyun, advised him with some worry. It's okay, don't worry, I have a plan. Lin Kaiyun had 4 large banana leaves in his hands, with the centers aligned and tied together with vines. Lin Kaiyun lifted up the tied banana leaves and said proudly, "How is it? There is no sunlight at all." Aha still felt something was wrong, but he didn't dare to go against Lin Kaiyun, so he could only say with a lack of confidence, "Brother, my master said that banana leaves seem to be able to open the eyes of corpses. Even if the sunlight is blocked, it would be bad if the zombies open their eyes and see people." Hearing this, Lin Kaiyun looked indifferent. "Open the eyes of corpses? Even if it is the opening of the eyes of heaven, what are you afraid of with me here?" He said this with great confidence. As the saying goes, confident boys are the most attractive. Originally, Lin Kaiyun was ready to welcome King's admiring eyes. As a result, Lin Kaiyun miscalculated. Instead of receiving admiring eyes, he received contemptuous eyes from King, who pouted and said, "Tisk tisk. Brother Lin, arrogant soldiers will be defeated, arrogant soldiers will be defeated, don't just say it because you learned an idiom." Lin Kaiyun glared at King and ignored their suggestions. He directly inserted the banana leaf on the back of the zombie Nintendo. The effect was very obvious. A large area of shade suddenly appeared, covering the Nintendo. Lin Kaiyun walked around the Nintendo and nodded to himself. He was very satisfied with his work and said, "Aha, drive it up, ring, ring, ring." Aha rang the bell and drove the corpses in broad daylight. Fortunately, the area around Ren Tingting was not prosperous, and there were no neighboring villages, so the roads leading to Ren Tingting were basically sparsely populated. In addition, the problem of sunlight exposure was solved, so it was not difficult to drive the corpses. Although wars continued in this era, the damage to the environment was far less than that of later generations. There were no factories, no steel and concrete buildings, and everything was lush and green. The sound of birds chirping came from everywhere, and there was a gurgling stream in front, which made people feel relaxed and happy. It seems that someone is singing in front. Lin Kaiyun's 5 senses are very sharp, and he clearly heard a girl singing not far away. Following the sound, it is likely to be in the waterfall in front. Girls? Waterfall? This scene inevitably filled Lin Kaiyun with reverie. Lin Kaiyun frowned and said to the two of them seriously, "Wait, stop first, there seems to be someone in front, don't scare them, I'll go and observe first." "Yes, senior brother." Hao stopped the bell obediently. Lin Kaiyun strode quickly and saw a waterfall below. He leaned over and looked down. A woman in a green swimsuit was bathing in the water, humming an unknown song. Could this be Ren Zhengying? Lin Kaiyun could not remember the person's appearance in the movie, but the green swimsuit was still very impressive. In the movie, Hao met Ren Zhengying, who was swimming and wearing a green swimsuit. Hao was there, and the green swimsuit was there too, so Lin Kaiyun was sure that it was Ren Zhengying. Lin Kaiyun immediately squatted down and covered his face with a piece of broken grass. From a distance of more than 10 feet, he was watching with great relish. Wait, if it's Ren Zhengying, then it must be Ren Tingting's. No, it's too sinful. Lin Kaiyun instantly thought of the relationship between Ren Zhengying and Ren Tingting. How could he peek at Ren Zhengying taking a bath? Just as Lin Kaiyun was thinking about it, King patted him from behind and asked, "Brother Lin, what are you observing? So serious, and you squatted down to hide." After that, King looked in the direction of Lin Kaiyun and saw only a palm-sized little person taking a bath in the water. Although King's eyesight is not as sharp as Lin Kaiyun's, she can still easily tell that the person taking a bath is a girl. King was immediately furious and pointed at Lin Kaiyun and cursed, "Pervert, you actually peeked at other girls taking a bath." Shhhhh. Lin Kaiyun put his finger to his mouth, motioning King to keep his voice down, and then explained, "I was observing, I didn't know it was a girl. I was just about to get up, and you came." King didn't believe Lin Kaiyun's words at all. She looked at Lin Kaiyun with contempt and shouted, "Lin Kaiyun, stop it. You are so fascinated by watching with your butt sticking out. If I hadn't come, you might have done something obscene." "Brother, what's wrong?" Hao walked over and asked in confusion. King's voice was definitely loud. Not only Hao heard it, but even Ren Zhengying, who was more than 10 feet away, could hear it clearly. Ren Zhengying squinted and saw Lin Kaiyun and the others. She screamed, and quickly ran to the shore, picked up her clothes and covered her body. Hao reacted instantly and said with a smile, "Brother, so you were peeking at the beautiful woman taking a bath." "At first I was peeping." Lin Kaiyun had to speak when he saw this, and then realized that something was wrong, and quickly changed his words. "Bah! I was observing." At this time, Ren Zhengying also put on her clothes, and did not choose to leave, but walked over directly, pointing at the few people and scolded, "You hooligans, you dare to watch me take a bath? Believe it or not, I will report to the police." Ren Zhengying has been studying abroad in San Francisco. She has a very independent personality. When faced with injustice, she dares to point it out. Just like now, facing the few people who were peeking at her, she is not stage frightened at all, and looks like she is asking for an explanation. As soon as Hao saw Ren Zhengying's look, his eyes lit up. He was so stunned that he pointed at Lin Kaiyun and said flatteringly, "Beauty, I didn't peek, it was my senior brother." Lin Kaiyun didn't expect that Hao would dare to betray him. He glared at Hao and growled with gritted teeth, "Hao, are you itching for trouble?" At this time, King also stood up to make up for it, also pointing at Lin Kaiyun, and said contemptuously, "Yes, it's this pervert. You two, you have no loyalty at all." Lin Kaiyun looked at the two of them, a little speechless. "Oh," Ren Zhengying also saw it, shaking her finger and pointing at Lin Kaiyun, "So you are the pervert who peeked at me taking a bath." "I'm not a pervert." Chapter 130 Later, he died. The sound of the grass rustling continued to be heard. "General, there is a zombie here." Shh, keep your voice down. "Don't you see someone over there?" There were 3 people in the bushes behind Nintendo, sneaking around Nintendo and Lin Kaiyun and the others in the distance. One of the thin, pointed-faced men scratched his chin and said, "Brother, the one wearing a Taoist robe should be a corpse driver. Should we wait until night to steal?" "Pa." The burly man in the lead slapped him and cursed, Stupid, you may not know where this zombie is at night. Another fat man stood up and said, General, I'll carry him back now, pa. The leading man slapped him again with his backhand and angrily scolded, Stupid, squat down quickly. Be careful not to be discovered. The fat man did not dare to resist and squatted down, rubbing the back of his head. The leading man was so disappointed that he started to scold them, You two idiots, haven't you learned the art of war? Make plans before you act. One fat and one thin, obviously didn't understand what the leading man said. They looked at each other and thought, Grandson? Whose grandson? I don't know. Is it the grandson of the old Yang family in the east of the village? I heard that he was a scholar before, and now he follows martial law. The leading man was almost angry to death. He looked at the two stupid people with contempt and cursed helplessly, You two are really stupid. Such a good deal, why did I take you two with me? The leading man was called General K. No one remembered his real name. It was just because he had a high fever when he was young, which seemed to have burned his brain. After that, he kept talking about his general. He would read a piece of white paper when he had nothing to do, saying that he was reading a military book. I don't know which storyteller heard the story of the Warring States period, and began to study the art of war and gave lectures everywhere. Over time, such a fool who loves military tactics was nicknamed the General, and now even he himself has forgotten his real name. Recently, General K met a golden-haired foreigner and received a business, which was to steal zombies for the foreigner. General K, in line with the principle of food and grass first before troops move, felt that he must have money to recruit soldiers, so he agreed directly. But as a general, how can he be brave alone? General K, who claims to be a general, is ready to recruit a few men. However, everyone in Renjiazhuang knows that General K is a fool, so he just thinks he is sick again. In the end, General K could only find two fools who are even stupider than him, Fat Dog and Skinny Monkey, who are also very famous in Renjiazhuang. One of them snatches food from a dog, and the other sleeps on a tree like a monkey. These three people have lived in Renjiazhuang for more than 10 years. They are so stupid that they are known to everyone. They are called the Three Fools of Renjiazhuang. Thanks to their stupidity, no one doubts their recent weird behavior. Today, the three idiots came out early, originally planning to wait for the corpse drivers at night, but they did not expect to encounter the corpse drivers during the day. Fat Dog touched his fat belly and asked, General, are we going to steal or not? I'm hungry. Every time, after stealing zombies, General K would take them to a full meal, so this fat dog was the most active. Of course I stole. General K nodded, then looked at Nintendo and said seriously, the so-called plan before action means to plan first and then act. After that, General K walked out straight away, as if no one was around, and studied the banana leaves behind Nintendo. He stretched out his hand and pulled them, saying, Plan, just take a look at this banana leaf. Since there is no problem, then do it. When Fat Dog heard the word do it, he immediately stood up, took 2 big steps, came close, carried Nintendo and left. Seeing this, Skinny Monkey ran to the front, responsible for exploring the way and reporting the news. These three fools, under the command of General K, carried the Nintendo away in a daze. However, the most surprising thing is that Lin Kaiyun and his men didn't notice it at all. Brother-in-law? What brother-in-law? You pervert, not only did you peek at me taking a bath, but you also took advantage of me. Ren Tingting didn't expect that Lin Kaiyun, who peeked at her bathing, had no intention of repenting and shamelessly tried to claim to be a relative. Hearing this, Lin Kaiyun rolled his eyes and muttered in a low voice, Take advantage of you? Who would take advantage to become a brother-in-law? Ren Tingting looked unhappy and asked in confusion, What are you talking about? Nothing, I really am your brother-in-law, Lin Kaiyun said in a very sure tone. Seeing this, King said to Lin Kaiyun, Brother Lin, this girl is quite generous. She probably didn't want to report to the police, otherwise they would have called someone to arrest you. You peeked at someone taking a bath, you should apologize to her. That's right. Ahao took a step and stood directly behind Ren Tingting, looking directly at Lin Kaiyun and shouting, Brother, although I respect you very much, you should apologize. For a moment, Lin Kaiyun seemed to have become the target of public criticism. There was no way, he was also in a state of grievances. At first, he peeked at someone taking a bath, but after finding out that it was Ren Tingting, he was ready to stop watching, but he was caught by King. If it was someone else, it would be fine. He was not irresponsible. He peeked, so he peeked. He could apologize, make amends, or even run away. But this Ren Zhengying is Ren Tingting's cousin, his cousin's sister-in-law. Once he admitted to peeping at his sister-in-law taking a bath, would Lin Kaiyun be able to hold his head up in Renjia town in the future? If he gets a reputation as a playboy Taoist priest, his master Lin Jiu would beat him to death. Never mind the other things for now, this fence-sitter Ahao must be punished. Lin Kaiyun looked directly at Ahao, his eyes seemed to shoot out cold rays, and his mouth uttered a cold voice. Ahao, there was once a man who betrayed my brother for beauty, then, he died. These 3 lines of the story made Ahao feel terrified. It was a sunny day, but he couldn't help shivering. Ahao turned around and stood beside Lin Kaiyun very naturally, and persuaded Ren Zhengying and King, beauty, King, I think what my senior brother said is right, there must be some misunderstanding here. Ahao is right, it is really a misunderstanding. Lin Kaiyun also explained, I am really your brother-in-law, I am from Renjia town, Ren Tingting is my fiancée. She always mentioned to me that there is a smart and beautiful cousin named Zhengying, who has been studying abroad. It happened that I passed by here today, and saw that your face was very similar to what Tingting described to me, so I took a closer look, and it was true. At this time, King happened to come over and thought I was peeping at you taking a bath. In fact, this is a misunderstanding. Lin Kaiyun's long explanation avoided the important points, and the mention of Ren Tingting also attracted Ren Zhengying's attention, making her completely ignore the other content. Really? Are you cousin Tingting's fiancé? Ren Zhengying's face improved and asked with a smile. It's genuine. Lin Kaiyun nodded, and raised his hand as if he was going to give a kiss on the cheek. Ren Zhengying had studied abroad for many years, and was used to the way foreigners greeted each other. Without thinking too much, she hugged Lin Kaiyun, and pressed her cheeks against his, and said with a smile, I didn't expect that he was really my brother-in-law. What a coincidence. You believe this explanation, and what are you doing? King couldn't believe her eyes. She just condemned the stinky hooligan and pervert, but she turned around and hugged him. Why don't you believe it? I'm innocent, Lin Kaiyun said seriously, and then pulled up the back of Zhengying's hand and gently touched her lips. Cousin Ren Zhengying, nice to meet you. After doing all this, Lin Kaiyun deliberately glanced at King and gave her a smug look. Chapter 131 A Man of Great Achievements. Brother-in-law, where did you learn gentlemanly etiquette? Have you studied abroad? Brother-in-law, are you really a Taoist priest? Are you lying? Brother-in-law, cousin Tingting wrote to me before, saying that she is also a practitioner. Is that true? Can you teach me too? Ren Zhengying surrounded Lin Kaiyun, no longer angry as before, but full of curiosity about her brother-in-law Lin Kaiyun. It's not really gentlemanly etiquette. As for Taoist priests, you can tell by looking at my clothes. If you really want to learn, you can, but you have to wait until the right time. Lin Kaiyun smiled and answered Ren Zhengying's questions one by one. Ren Zhengying smiled and said to Lin Kaiyun, brother-in-law, what are you looking for? Teach me now. No, this thing requires fate, it can't be forced. Lin Kaiyun shook his head and refused decisively. He would not teach others the things of Maotian without the permission of his master, and he could not teach the exercises in the system unless he encountered the exercises like Ren Tingting's last time. Although she was rejected by Lin Kaiyun, Ren Zhengying did not have any resistance and continued to chat with Lin Kaiyun, showing that she was very cheerful and talkative. King and Ahao stood in the wind in a mess. It was Lin Kaiyun who was shameless to peek at her bathing just now. How did it become like this? It was like a family reunion. Alice, the world is going downhill. Ahao grabbed his clothes and muttered with the gritted teeth. When he saw Ren Zhengying, he felt very surprised, and his little heart had already jumped up. However, Ren Zhengying had been around Lin Kaiyun all the time, and she didn't even look at him. King really didn't want to see the two people chatting passionately, so she turned her head away. Suddenly, they cried out, Brother Lin, it's bad, the zombies are gone. What? Zombies? Lin Kaiyun was explaining the principle of Taoism to Ren Zhengying. When he heard King's words, he thought he had heard it wrong. It's true, Brother Lin, the zombies are gone. Ahao was also startled by King's words. He turned his head and saw that his heart was immediately chilled. He hurried over. Lin Kaiyun also hurriedly followed. The place where the Nintendo was placed before was empty, with only some messy footprints. It looks like someone stole the zombies, Lin Kaiyun frowned. These footprints came out from the grass on the side, circled around the location of the Nintendo for a few times, and then walked into the grass and disappeared. Alhao's face was full of anxiety. He paced on the spot at a loss, almost crying. What should I do? Nintendo's body is lost. My master will definitely beat me to death. After hearing the name, Ren Zhengying interrupted and asked, Nintendo? My grandfather. The corpse you're driving is my grandfather's body. That's right. Lin Kaiyun nodded. He remembered that Nintendo was Ren Zhengying's grandfather in the movie. He squatted down and looked at the footprints, trying to find any clues, and said, however, our first plan now is to find those corpse thieves. Lin Kaiyun suddenly remembered something. He stood up and asked Ren Zhengying, are there any foreigners near Renjiazhuang? Do you know, foreigners? Ren Zhengying didn't know why Lin Kaiyun asked this, nodded and replied, it seems that there is an old professor. I seem to have heard of him. Okay, then let's go find that old professor, Lin Kaiyun said with a smile. If he was not wrong, Nintendo should have been stolen by this foreigner. In Renjiazhuang, in a small forest on a slight slope, several people were panting and holding their knees. These people were the three idiots of Renjiazhuang. Fat Dog threw the Nintendo on his shoulder to the ground, waving his hands tiredly. General, I can't do it anymore, take a break. Bang. General K slapped Fat Dog fiercely and scolded him angrily, you stupid dog, this is our ocean, what if it breaks? Hurry up and pick it up. Fat Dog looked aggrieved, but when he heard the word ocean, he instantly became energetic and carefully lifted up the zombie Nintendo. During this time, the talisman on the forehead of Nintendo fluttered and almost fell off. Skinny Monkey scratched his chin like he had ADHD and asked, General, there's no one in front, shall we just send the money over? General K hugged his shoulders, looking confident. Stupid, we need to pack it before sending it over. Package, yes, it's packaging. If you want to do your work well, you must first sharpen your tools. After General K finished speaking, he took out 2 dog teeth from his pocket and shook them proudly. Fat Dog, you pry open the mouth of this old zombie. General K waved at Fat Dog, holding a pair of dog teeth and eager to try. Fat Dog did not hesitate, raised his hands, and pressed Nintendo's mouth tightly like 2 pliers. Then, Fat Dog shouted and put his hands into Nintendo's mouth, and used all his strength to pry Nintendo's mouth open. Fat Dog grinned and shouted, General, hurry up, this old guy's mouth is too tight. Although the Fat Dog is stupid, he is quite strong. General K did not hesitate, and with his canine teeth erected, he suddenly inserted it into the mouth of the zombie Nintendo. General K nodded and looked at his masterpiece with satisfaction, and boasted complacently, well, not bad, it looks valuable now. Skinny Monkey looked at the Nintendo and jumped and said, General, this zombie is so domineering, we have to ask the foreigners to raise the price, and we can't just charge $50. General K nodded with satisfaction. Skinny Monkey, you are quite smart, and you are a teachable kid. Then tell me, how much should we raise the price? General K thought he was well versed in military strategy and didn't think he was a fool at all. Now that Fat Dog and Skinny Monkey finally caught up with his thinking, he was very happy. Skinny Monkey's eyes turned and he stretched out his hand to gesture. 60, no, at least $65. Bang. General K was not polite. He slapped the Skinny Monkey on the back of the head and cursed, how can you be so useless? We are people who can accomplish great things. How can you be so courageous? Fat Dog also echoed, that's right. It will cost at least $70. We can eat a few more roast chickens. Bullshit, General K cursed directly. Fat Dog scratched his head and laughed. General, you are the wisest. You should say it. General K raised his hands and shouted, at least $100. Long live, $100. We are going to be rich again. Fat Dog, Skinny Monkey, carry it, let's go. Chapter 132. This is not far from Renjiazhuang. There is a small village called Zhangji. 10 years ago, the population here was not much less than that of Renjiazhuang, but in recent years, wars have occurred frequently, especially a family in Zhangji joined the army and rebelled, and was retaliated by the marshal. So all the people in Zhangji moved away, and now the whole village has become very dilapidated. On the east side of the village, there is a large red brick tile house. This kind of luxurious tile house is very rare in the village. The one who can live in such a house is at least the richest person in the village. There is a well in front of the tile house, and at this time, a blonde and blue-eyed foreigner is drawing water. Creak. The dark wooden door was pushed open from the outside, and 3 people walked in carrying zombie Nintendo. After hearing the noise, The foreigner quickly put down the bucket in his hand, stood up and looked. His blue eyes stayed on Nintendo, and he was immediately delighted and raised his beard excitedly. "My friends, I'm so happy to see you. I guess you have good news to tell me." General K asked Fat Dog to put the zombie Nintendo steadily on the ground, rolled up his sleeves to wipe the dust off Nintendo, and said proudly, "There must be good news. This zombie is not bad." The bearded foreigner looked up and down at Nintendo. His wrinkled skin, some weathered Qing dynasty shrouds, were very dark in color, and he had a short black beard on his face. There were two unusually thick teeth under the beard, like a wild wolf, flashing cold light, and it felt like it could bite through the neck at any time. This disgusting and ugly zombie was very attractive in the eyes of the bearded foreigner, and it was full of power and dominance. My God, what a perfect body! The bearded foreigner was like appreciating a work of art, and couldn't bear to move his eyes away. But he had not forgotten his business. He turned around and took out a cloth bag from the window and threw it to General K. "Dear K, this is $50. I hope you can bring more perfect corpses in the future." General K weighed the bag, shook his head, and said, "This zombie has extraordinary teeth. $50 is not enough. At least $100 is needed." The bearded foreigner smiled and said slowly, "No, K, you can't be too greedy. In the past, 2 zombies only cost $100. For the villagers in these backward countries, $1 is a huge fortune, not to mention that he was selling a zombie for $50, which was a sky-high price. So he was not worried about General K's sudden price increase. However, this time the bearded foreigner obviously underestimated General K's determination. "Fat Dog, carry it away." General K gestured to the fat dog with his eyes. The fat dog has been hanging out with General K recently, and his life is very good. It can't be said that he has meat every meal, but at least he can eat enough. So Fat Dog didn't even consider General K's words, and was about to pick up the Nintendo with his arms. The bearded foreigner was anxious when he saw that these people were really going to move the zombie away. "Oh, put it down quickly, put it down quickly, you are so greedy." $100. General K had a blank expression on his face. It must be said that this familiarity with the story of the 36 stratagems made him look mentally retarded. But sometimes, he could occasionally deceive others. The bearded foreigner waved his hand and threw out a money bag, saying seriously, "Oh, damn, there are $50 in it, and that's all I have. Enough, enough." General K's expressionless state lasted only 3 seconds, and then his face was full of smiles. He left with Fat Dog and Skinny Monkey. Seeing this scene, the bearded foreigner knew that he might have been cheated. Even if he didn't pay more money just now, they would not take the zombie away. But he didn't get too entangled. After all, this zombie was indeed better than the previous one. God bless. This time it must go smoothly, the bearded foreigner muttered, and he didn't know where he got the strength from, but he actually picked up Nintendo's body and walked into the house. The room was very dim. Unlike the neatness outside, the things placed inside were very messy, and glass bottles could be seen everywhere. These glass bottles were filled with red, green and yellow potions, which kept steaming like chemical agents. In the middle was an old-fashioned oil lamp, and the oil smoke on it mixed with a sour and spicy smell from somewhere, which was very pungent. The bearded foreigner directly placed Nintendo's body on the experimental table, pulled out 2 plastic tubes from the bottom, and inserted them into Nintendo's mouth. Then the bearded foreigner put on a white coat, put on rubber gloves, and carefully picked up the bottles and jars next to him. He mixed it very seriously, muttering, "This time the zombies look very strong, they will definitely succeed. As long as my experiment succeeds, I can deal with the vampires that are chasing me." After that, the bearded foreigner put all the prepared potions into the plastic tube. The steaming liquid flowed into Nintendo's mouth along the plastic tube. At the same time, the bearded foreigner took out his pocket watch, looked at the time on it and pressed it. His eyes were full of hope, and he said, "It only takes 15 minutes, and I can return to my country again." Time passed by. The bearded foreigner walked around anxiously waiting for the results of the experiment. Although this was not the first time to experiment with zombies, the bearded foreigner was still very nervous. It was about to be 15 minutes, and the palms of the bearded foreigner were sweating. At this time, there was a voice outside. "Brother-in-law, it seems to be here. I remember people in Renjiazhuang said that a foreigner bought this house for vacation." The person who spoke was Ren Tingting. She pointed at the wooden door and said to Lin Kaiyun, When Ahau heard this, he wanted to rush in immediately. Brother, let's go in and take a look. Nintendo's body was gone, and Ahau was more anxious than anyone else. Wait a minute, I'm not sure if it is. Lin Kaiyun shook his head, stopped the somewhat panicked Ahau, and then stepped forward and knocked on the wooden door. Is anyone there? The bearded foreigner didn't have any vigilance. He thought it was another zombie seller. He threw his pocket watch on the table, ran out excitedly to open the wooden door, and said with a smile, "You Orientals are so efficient. What kind of zombie is this time, zombie?" Once this was said, it was certain that the theft of Nintendo's body was definitely related to this foreigner. Lin Kaiyun also breathed a sigh of relief. At least it could prove that the plot had not changed much. In this way, the thing that made Nintendo mutate really existed. Lin Kaiyun suddenly had an idea and pulled Ahau over and said seriously, "Yes, this is a zombie." Chapter 133. The experiment was successful. Lin Kaiyun pulled Ahau over, gave him a look, and said silently with live language, "Now, raise your hands and pretend to be a zombie." Ahau didn't know what Lin Kaiyun was going to do, but he still obeyed very obediently, raised his arms directly, grinned and made a hissing sound, and jumped 2 steps in the original state. It's true that Ahau always follows his mother to drive corpses. When he imitates zombies, his every move really looks like that. Stop. Stop. The bearded foreigner was startled by Ahau's voice and shouted quickly, "Oh, God, why is there no talisman on this zombie?" Hearing this, Lin Kaiyun took out a talisman and stuck it on Ahau's forehead. Ahau cooperated very well, as if the power was turned off, and he was stiff in place. "Isn't this for you to inspect the goods?" Lin Kaiyun patted Ahau's raised arm, making a bang sound, and said with a smile, "Look, this zombie is motionless and very safe." Seeing this, the bearded foreigner walked up to Ahau, stared at him carefully, and asked in confusion, "Dear friends, is this a zombie? He is a little too short. You are an outsider in this." Lin Kaiyun rolled his eyes and explained patiently, "You have heard of Eastern Kung Fu, right? Fists are 2 doors, and they all rely on feet to hit people. This guy is short and has a stable lower body. His combat power and physique are very awesome." As he said, Lin Kaiyun took a bow stance and threw out 2 moves of Tuangbikun. He was full of vigor and the power of his fists caused waves of air, full of domineering. "Oh, God!" The bearded foreigner was shocked by Lin Kaiyun's tricks and said in amazement, "I know, Kung Fu, Eastern Kung Fu, Ray God." However, the bearded foreigner was not so easy to fool. After taking a look, he asked in confusion, "Why is the skin of this zombie not shriveled? And why doesn't he have fangs? The one you are talking about is a mummy, buried in the ground, so the skin is shriveled, the fangs are sharp, and the corpse smells very bad. Ours was fished out of the water and has been soaked. If you don't believe it, take a look." After saying that, Lin Kaiyun patted Ahau's back fiercely, and an invisible lightning in his palm drilled into Ahau's body. Zizzy. Ahau was numb all over, his skin was trembling, and bubbles were unconsciously spitting out of his mouth. Lin Kaiyun ignored Ahau's resentful eyes and said seriously, "Look, did he vomit water? The zombies in the water have a lot of water in their bodies and good absorption, which makes them very convenient for experiments." Convenient for experiments? Great. When the bearded foreigner heard what Lin Kaiyun said, he couldn't help laughing, and even danced with joy, not caring about Lin Kaiyun and others at all. In the mind of the bearded foreigner, these Orientals are all ignorant people who don't understand science at all, so he is not afraid of exposing his experiments at all. Anyway, they don't know. The bearded foreigner took out a purse, threw it to Lin Kaiyun, and reminded him, "This is $100. I am very sincere. Don't raise the price to me anymore. Don't raise the price to him anymore." It seems that someone came to sell zombies before, and it is likely that they stole Nintendo. Lin Kaiyun thought to himself, shook his money bag habitually, then handed it to King, turned his head and said with a smile, "This water corpse is very fierce. Do you want us to help you move him in? Oh, dear friends. You are so great, much friendlier than the treacherous man before." The bearded foreigner heard Lin Kaiyun's words, clapped his hands happily, and continued, "Then please move him to the laboratory inside." "No problem." Lin Kaiyun directly picked up Ahau and walked towards the yard. King and Rensazu looked at each other and followed him. Ahau lowered his voice and asked quietly, "Brother, what experiment? What are you going to do? How long do I have to pretend?" "Soon, as long as we get into the house and this foreigner takes out the potion, you don't have to pretend anymore," Lin Kaiyun answered truthfully. He did so much for the perverted potion of the foreign scientist and the music zombie. That potion can make zombies not afraid of Taoism and sunlight, and it is very powerful. Perhaps it can also make the person who absorbs it stronger. For example, T-virus, gamma ray and so on. In Lin Kaiyun's opinion, this potion is similar to these, so he wants to get it very much. If it weren't for this, he would have killed it easily when he knew that the zombie was Nintendo. Pushing open the door of the house, a pungent smell penetrated into the noses of several people. The room was filled with smoke and the sunlight shone in, making the gas in the room very obvious, as if many people were smoking opium at the same time, and the vision and smell were very uncomfortable. The bearded foreigner pointed to the table and said, "Put it next to this." On the long table, lying was Nintendo, with a plastic tube in his mouth, and a strange smell emanated from his shriveled body, which smelled like rotten meat soaked in potion. Lin Kaiyun's eyes were focused and his brows were tightly furrowed. He could vaguely feel that the corpse gas of Nintendo was constantly increasing, and the level of the zombies seemed to be increasing. "Grandpa!" After Ren Tingting entered the room, she covered her nose and shouted the moment she saw Nintendo. "Grandpa? What grandpa?" The bearded foreigner looked puzzled, and suddenly, he became alert. Looking at Lin Kaiyun and the others, he also reacted and shouted, "Damn Orientals, you have been lying to me all along. Since you are exposed, let's try another method." Lin Kaiyun put a how on the ground and stared at the bearded foreigner. If he couldn't trick him, he could only interrogate him. Roar. At this moment, Nintendo, who was lying on the long table, let out a sharp roar. The bearded foreigner didn't care about Lin Kaiyun and the others. He excitedly pressed on the edge of the table and admired his masterpiece. "Oh, my God, thank you for your gift, my experiment is finally successful." Nintendo's iron blue eyes twitched constantly, and he suddenly opened his eyes, completely ignoring the talisman on his forehead, and directly grabbed the bearded foreigner beside him and suddenly bit him. The bearded foreigner was still feeling happy when his neck was bitten through by Nintendo's sharp teeth. He screamed and died. Before he died, he kept reaching out to Lin Kaiyun, as if asking for help. The moment the blood entered Nintendo's body, the corpse key rose again. At the same time, a line of blood appeared on the K9 teeth that were inserted into his mouth by General K, and it was completely fused with his sharp teeth. Roar! Nintendo threw the bearded foreigner aside, raised his claws, and tore off the talisman that was in the way on his head, and focused all his attention on Ren Tingting. Chapter 134 was ridiculed. Ren Tingting screamed, pointing at Nintendo with trembling hands, and exclaimed, "It's alive, and it bit the foreigner to death." Although she had learned about Maotian Taoist priests and zombies from the side because of her cousin Ren Tingting's letter, seeing them in person was another matter altogether. "Don't panic, it's okay." King grabbed Ren Tingting's cold hand and said soothingly, "It's just a zombie, Brother Lin can deal with it." Ren Tingting was so scared that she quickly hid behind King, crying and asking in confusion, "Why do zombies move, huh?" King was speechless for a moment, not understanding what Ren Tingting was thinking. She glanced at her and said slowly, "How can they be called zombies if they can't move?" Ren Tingting saw Lin Kaiyun, how, and even the girl in front of her. King was very calm and didn't understand. She didn't dare to look at her grandfather Ren Nintendo, and said, "Aren't zombies stuffed corpses? How can they move? Isn't this a monster?" Ren Tingting's voice was not loud, but everyone in the room could hear it, including Lin Kaiyun, who couldn't help laughing. Ren Tingting's explanation of zombies was really interesting. Roar. Nintendo opened its mouth towards Ren Tingting, its thick fangs emitting a foul stench. It did not recognize Ren Tingting, but only knew that her blood was very attractive. King, take Ren Tingting out quickly. Zombies are very eager for the blood of close relatives. Nintendo will definitely attack her. Lin Kaiyun glanced back at Ren Tingting and shouted to King. Then he scanned the room and saw that there were still many bottles filled with strange liquids. He then said, "Aheo, put away all those bottles and jars for me. Try not to knock them over. I need them." After explaining this, Lin Kaiyun moved his wrist and laid it horizontally in front of Nintendo, smiling and saying, "Come on. Let me see how much you have mutated." This Nintendo already has enough thinking. Although it cannot use it properly like humans, it knows that its target is the girl in the dress. Roar. Nintendo howled, ignoring Lin Kaiyun, and jumped directly towards Ren Tingting. "What's the matter? Still want to use the flying dragon to write on your face?" Lin Kaiyun knew that this Nintendo's target was Ren Tingting. He was well prepared. When Nintendo jumped up, he grabbed Nintendo's ankles with both hands, pulled hard, and suddenly threw Nintendo upside down in front of him, saying, "Ren Tingting, don't even think about it. Come, let me check the goods, now the bearded foreigner is dead." This Nintendo may be the only zombie that has been injected with a mysterious potion. Lin Kaiyun is very curious about the level of this potion. If Nintendo is not vulnerable, then he doesn't need to study it anymore. Let's go. Seeing this, King pulled Ren Tingting's hand and rushed out of the door. Hao also took the opportunity to pick up the bottles and jars and ran outside. Roar. Nintendo shook the dust on his head and roared angrily at Lin Kaiyun. It felt like he was scolding someone, and it seemed like he was warning Lin Kaiyun not to mess with him. How can you be so slow, zombie? Lin Kaiyun didn't care about that, and took action directly, spreading his hands. Heaven and earth mysterious sect, the root of all ki, practice for billions of kalpas, and prove my supernatural power. His body was shining with golden flames, and he jumped out like a long dragon, surrounding Nintendo. However, Nintendo completely ignored the golden light spell. Twenshin talisman. Lin Kaiyun pointed at the void, and dozens of blue glowing talismans appeared behind him, flying towards Nintendo in unison. He pinched the magic formula and sent out spiritual power. Explode. The spiritual power hit the talisman, and suddenly, all the talismans were activated. Bang! The flames rolled, the wind dragon roared, the water flooded the house, and the earth sank. In the room, it seemed like a magic show. In an instant, various elements collided and collapsed completely. Ren Tingting, who had been hiding outside the yard, saw the brick house being blown down, flames shooting up into the sky, lightning and thunder in the house. She was so shocked that her jaw dropped. She rubbed her eyes and exclaimed, "Is this still a human? Is this magic? The power is okay, not too great." King, who was standing aside, couldn't help but feel secretly happy when she saw Ren Tingting so surprised. She pinched her fingers and drew a red line, which was wrapped around the wall. She pulled hard, and the wall was like tofu, being pulled to the ground, stirring up clouds of flying ashes. She smiled and said, "Look, I can do it too." Ren Tingting saw that King also had extraordinary skills. She widened her eyes and exclaimed, "Wow, King, really, you are so awesome." Hao, who was holding bottles and jars on the side, was full of envy. It was okay that Lin Kaiyun was so awesome before, after all, he was his senior brother. But in the end, a woman like King was more awesome than him. This was really a blow to his self-esteem. In the house, most of the house collapsed, and the wind, fire, thunder and earth gradually dissipated. Lin Kaiyun stood on the ruins, spotless. Roar. Howls were heard, and the gravel and wood chips were blown away. Nintendo jumped out from the ruins. It looked at Lin Kaiyun unhappily, and then showed a smug expression in a human way, stretched out its claws and pointed at Lin Kaiyun, and then patted itself. This Nintendo was obviously saying to Lin Kaiyun, "You can't do it, I am very powerful, your attacks are useless. Damn, you can also taunt." Lin Kaiyun was almost vomiting blood because of Nintendo's mean look. A zombie actually taunted him in person. He touched his storage belt, took out several copper coins, threw them out in order, and then swung his sleeves. "I have a room, half of which I rent to the king of rotation. Sometimes I can shoot out a ray of light, and the evil demons in the world dare not face it." From his sleeves, a red ink line flashed out quickly, like a swimming dragon, and drilled into the square holes of the copper coins one by one. Lin Kaiyun's pupils flashed golden light, and he held the magic formula in his hand and shouted loudly, "A red river has passed, and the copper coins are eager to take souls. Kill the evil." Suddenly, all the copper coins began to rotate, and the ink line became straight, driven by the copper coins, and also rotated at high speed. Like a rotating shock wave, it pierced Nintendo's forehead. Zzz. The ink line stopped in the forehead, and the high-speed rotation kept rubbing, making a harsh sound. However, this attack had no effect on Nintendo. Nintendo raised his claws and waved them casually, knocking the ink line aside. He let out a hoarse laugh, obviously mocking Lin Kaiyun again. "Congratulations, you succeeded in irritating me." Lin Kaiyun's face darkened, and he took out the 7-star dragon abyss and said coldly, "It's time to finish the inspection." Chapter 135 Renjiazharong, a grand banquet. 135 Lin Kaiyun held a 7-star dragon abyss sword in his hand, and the scabbard seemed to sense his intention and fell off by itself. After a long period of spiritual accumulation, the breath of the 7-star Dragon Abyss Sword was unusually strong, which made Nintendo feel scared and very uneasy. Roar! Nintendo roared, and a fishy smell came. It opened its mouth and sprayed a large amount of black gas. This black gas was very similar to the smell of the medicine in the house before. In an instant, it enveloped the art and blocked everyone's sight. Oh no, this Nintendo is going to run away. Lin Kaiyun felt the black gas, which seemed to be non-toxic. Realizing Nintendo's intention, he hurriedly stepped on the 7 stars, holding the magic formula in his hand, and shouted loudly, "Taishang Taixing, respond without stopping, exorcise evil spirits, protect your life and body, wisdom is clear, and the mind is peaceful, 3 souls are permanent, and the spirit is not lost." Suddenly, Lin Kaiyun's body flashed with ripples, and the voice rushed into the sky, shocking the soul. The sound was like a morning bell, ringing in his ears and around his body. He suddenly opened his eyes, which were shining with brilliance, pure and clear, as if they could purify everything in the world. However, he could not see through the gas, and the visibility was still less than 1 meter. The opportunity was fleeting. Lin Kaiyun could no longer feel the smell of Nintendo. It seemed that it had escaped. Lin Kaiyun cursed unhappily, "What on earth is this? Nintendo clearly didn't use this in the movie." After a few minutes, the black gas gradually dissipated. Nintendo really ran away, and there was only a ruin in front of Lin Kaiyun. At this time, King and a few others also came to the yard. King asked with concern, "Brother Lin, what happened?" Lin Kaiyun shook his head, "I'm fine, I just let that old zombie run away." King's face was heavy when she heard it, and she said worriedly, "Run away? What should we do? Will it continue to harm people?" "Zombies are always harmful to people." Lin Kaiyun nodded very affirmatively, then pointed his finger at Ren Zhengying and said, "And there is a high probability that it will harm your family members." Ren Zhengying was shocked when she heard it, and asked helplessly, "Then what should we do?" Lin Kaiyun didn't even think about it, and said directly, "There's only one way, you lead the way. We can kill Nintendo in advance or control it." "Oh, okay." Ren Zhengying was stunned for a moment, and then hurriedly led the way. It was still broad daylight, and zombies should not appear, but on a road in Zhangjia village, several wild dogs rummaging through a garbage seemed to be frightened by something and kept roaring. "Woof woof woof, trample." Nintendo, who had just escaped from Lin Kaiyun, jumped down from the roof. His stiff body made a muffled sound as it hit the blue stone road. Roar! Nintendo sniffed and roared at the wild dog, jumping forward, grabbing the wild dog, biting its neck, and sucking its blood. Pooh! Nintendo's expression was distorted. He threw the wild dog out in disgust, spitting out the dog blood in his mouth, and made a grumbling sound at the wild dog's corpse, as if he was cursing. Woo! Roar! Nintendo had sucked the blood of the bearded foreigner, and now the blood of this wild dog made him feel very disgusted. AWW! Nintendo howled, as if he felt something calling him, and jumped away. Ren Tingting was the only village nearby that was not destroyed by the war. It originally had a large population, and with the relocation of people from nearby villages, the number of people living there was even greater. But it is just a village, not a town after all. The buildings are still mainly earthen houses and tile houses. There are even many families who still live in thatched houses. In the past, the village was very lively, but now there are few people. Even on the main road of Ren Tingting, there is no trace of anyone. The shops on both sides are not open, and the stalls have closed the stalls. Maintaining public order is everyone's responsibility. Don't pick up things on the road, and build a good village that everyone loves. An old man with a white belt tied around his waist picked up the gong and knocked it, muttering unhappily, "Damn, everyone goes to drink and eat meat, and I have to patrol. How unlucky. Today is the auspicious day for the burial of the old man of the Ren family." Ren Tingting was established by the Ren family, and naturally it is also the largest family in the village. Not only is it rich, but the family is also very large, and even has relatives in Renjia town in the south. Therefore, today, the Ren family held a big banquet, and the chef invited from the provincial capital was in charge of the cooking, and everyone in the village was invited. Whether it was the local households of Ren Tingting or the people who had fled and relocated here, they all had to give face to the Ren family. Basically, the whole family went out, even the elderly and children went. In addition to giving face to the Ren family, there was another benefit, that is, every time the Ren family held such a big event, The dishes were all delicacies that could not be eaten normally, and the Ren family was very generous to invite a well-known opera troupe from far and near, with luxurious food and opera to watch. Only a fool would not go. Of course, there were also some patrolmen who could not go for the time being, so it was natural that they were in a bad mood. Maintaining public order is everyone's responsibility. Don't pick up things on the road, and build a good village that everyone loves. The old man knocked the gong listlessly, and his voice was weak. He looked up at the sky, and there was no sign of darkness. I'm going to sleep for a while. Whoever wants to do this hard job can do it. The old man hung the gong on a wooden stake, found a shady place, lay down, and then took out a wrapped dry tobacco and puffed out smoke. Huh? I'll just hold on for another hour. I also want to go to the theater and have a big meal. A puff of white smoke came out of the old man's nostrils. He looked relaxed. He thought that if he stayed for a while longer, he would sneak back. Anyway, no one would notice him. Suddenly, a pair of legs appeared beside the old man. The old man didn't see it clearly. He thought someone was coming. He quickly stood up and explained, I'm tired of patrolling. I just took a break. Roar. The owner of the legs was Nintendo. It didn't care about anything. It pounced on the old man, bit its neck with its fangs, and sucked blood. The old man struggled desperately before he died, shouting, "Ah! Help, there are zombies," but his struggle was meaningless in Nintendo's eyes. After sucking blood, Nintendo threw down the dry and wrinkled corpse. It raised its head and looked in a direction. There was something that attracted him, and it was also full of popularity. In the Ren family, gongs and drums were loud, and people were talking. Even though it was not time for dinner yet, everyone had cakes and food in front of them. This scale is very grand in the village. Although everyone is wearing white clothes, everyone's face is very happy. According to the Ren family, this is the funeral of Mr. Ren, and it is an auspicious day. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 136 Why Am I So Unlucky? 136 The Ren family mansion was full of guests. Basically, everyone in Renjiazhuang had come. The yard was full of seats, and the tables extended to the road outside. The morning hall was set up in the yard. It was built with freshly brushed redwood. If redwood is used for funerals, the descendants will definitely be rich. Even the coffin was red. On both sides were relatives of Ren Xiandi, and the outermost were the younger generations wearing white mourning robes. Originally, Ren Zhu, as the granddaughter of Ren Xiandi, should have been included in this list, but Ren Zhu returned from studying abroad and had a unique personality. She was very disgusted with this form of burial, and Master Ren was also very helpless about this. In front of the morning hall, many of Master Ren's friends came to give speeches one after another. At this time, a short and fat man walked up to the morning hall. This short and fat man was dressed luxuriously and was more decent than Master Ren of the Ren family. If Lin Kaiyun was here, he would definitely recognize this man. It was Ren Tingting's father, Ren Fa. Master Ren directly supported Ren Fa and said respectfully, "Brother, why did you come here in person? I am really flattered. The Ren family in Renjiazhuang and the Ren family in Renjia town are from the same branch. Ren Fa's father Ren Weiong and Ren Xiandong are brothers." Ren Fa was very pleased to see his cousin's respectful look. He held the sandalwood cane in his hand and said with a smile, "AK, today is the day of my second uncle's burial. How can I not be there in person?" Master Ren's original name was Ren K. It is said that the name was given by Ren Fa's father Ren Weiong. Although the term cooperating with Ren Fa to make a fortune is popular, it is also a good wish for the younger generation, so Ren Xiandong listened to Ren Weiong's words. Ren K also laughed and said very enthusiastically, "Brother, come to think of it, we haven't seen each other for several years. After father is buried, you must stay in our Renjiazhuang for a while, then we brothers can have a good chat." Ren Fa nodded and said, "It's good to stay. My father's affairs have just been dealt with. It's good to relax." Ren K put away his smile when he heard this, and whispered in Ren Fa's ear, "Brother, is it true what is said outside? Uncle, has he really turned into a corpse?" "That's right. If it weren't for my son-in-law's great ability, I would probably be dead." Now when this matter was mentioned, Ren Fa was still a little scared. After he finished speaking, he suddenly remembered something, grabbed Ren K's hand, and reminded him, "AK, there's nothing unusual about second uncle's body, right? Have you asked a Taoist priest to take a look?" Ren K didn't take Ren Fa's reminder seriously at all, and said, "The person I asked to drive the corpse is a Taoist priest." Ren Fa nodded and said with a sigh, "It's good to be a Taoist priest. Life is too difficult in this chaotic world." At this moment, a figure fell from the sky, wearing a Qing dynasty shroud, with green skin, long nails and sharp teeth on the side of his mouth, all of which are the characteristics of a zombie. "Ah! It's a zombie. Zombies are coming. Run, help. There are zombies," someone in the crowd shouted, and then they ran out of control, like a group of ants on fire. Ren K looked at the suddenly appeared Nintendo in disbelief, and said in a panic, "How could my father become a zombie? How could this happen?" Ren Fa just reminded him, but he simply ignored it, thinking that it was his uncle Ren Weiong who had done too many evil things, so he became a zombie, and his father, Nintendo, would not. However, reality slapped him hard. "Okay, run quickly, zombies will look for their closest relatives first." Ren Fa turned around and ran after saying this. He had experienced zombie attacks and almost died, so he knew that zombies were beasts that didn't recognize their relatives at all. No, to be precise, zombies recognized all their relatives, because zombies were eager to suck the blood of all their relatives. Ren K's mind was blank. After hearing Ren Fa's words, he reacted and ran away. However, Nintendo locked onto Ren K at the first time, jumped down, grabbed Ren K and bit him. Suddenly, blood splattered, Ren K's body kept twitching, and he struggled to die. Roar! Nintendo howled with satisfaction. After absorbing his son Ren K, its breath soared and soon reached the realm of a 6th-level zombie. This Nintendo is not a silver-armored zombie or a flying zombie, and it does not have the characteristics of these two types of zombies, but it is not afraid of Taoism and sunlight, and the corpse key in its body has reached the 6th-level standard. Its combat power will only be stronger than the royal zombie that Lin Kaiyun encountered at the beginning. Run! Zombies are killing people, don't block me, get out of the way. The mourners, the villagers who originally came to attend the funeral, now saw that Ren K, the master of the Ren family, was bitten to death by zombies, and they ran away even more desperately. The people sitting on the avenue had already scattered, but it was not so easy for the people in the yard. The spacious gate was already blocked by the crowded crowd, and the temporary mourning hall collapsed in the panic. Roar! After sucking Ren K's blood, Ren Xiandi was not satisfied. He turned his eyes to other people in the Ren family, grabbed a junior, pierced his neck with his teeth, and greedily sucked blood. What should I do? I am so unlucky. In the corner, behind a pot of food, Ren Fa was hiding here, his body trembling uncontrollably. He had escaped from the mouth of a zombie before, but he didn't expect that when he attended his second uncle's funeral, he would encounter his second uncle turned into a zombie again. Old man, even if you want me to die, don't let me die this way. Ren Fa lowered his head, not daring to look at Nintendo, but the tragic scenes of those who were bitten to death by zombies kept appearing in his mind. He said in horror, if I had known earlier, I should have asked Uncle Jiu to tell my fortune when I came here. Roar! The roar of the zombies suddenly appeared in Ren Fa's ears, and Ren Fa was so scared that he opened his eyes quickly. What he saw was a rotten face, with gray eyes and thick fangs dripping with blood. Ah, help! Ren Fa was so scared that he collapsed to the ground, his legs kept kicking. Nintendo felt that the blood of the man in front of him was also very fragrant, so he raised his claws and grabbed it. The sky and the earth are clear, the 7 stars are rampant, sweeping the world, and the sun and the moon are divided. With a tough voice, a strange sword light suddenly appeared above Nintendo's head, and it slashed down with extremely terrifying pressure. This sword completely split the dusk and dawn, and the power of light and darkness was tearing madly. Puff! The sword slashed Nintendo's body, and the impact force did not decrease at all, knocking Nintendo out. Humph! It seems that he is only immune to Taoist magic. A crisp voice sounded on the wallpaper, and Ren Fa immediately shed tears of excitement after hearing it. He quickly stretched out his hand and shouted, my dear son-in-law, help me. Chapter 137. Maybe it's because I'm handsome. Lin Kaiyun staggered and nearly fell off the wall. Originally, he appeared in the crisis and was an extremely positive character. He could be said to have saved the collapsing building and turned the tide. However, before he could show off, The atmosphere he had created was completely destroyed by the shouting. Son-in-law? What's going on? Are you calling him? Lin Kaiyun suspected that there was something wrong with his ears. He lowered his head and looked for the source of the voice with his eyes focused. Ren Fa also saw Lin Kaiyun looking for him, and quickly stood up and raised his hands and shouted, "Dear son-in-law, it's me, your father-in-law, Ren Fa." Ren Fa's voice was unusually loud. After all, he was on the verge of life and death just now. Now he finally saw a life-saving straw. How could he not grab it? It was hard for Lin Kaiyun not to notice Ren Fa's desperate jumping and shaking of his hands. He muttered in surprise, "Oh my god, isn't this Ren Tingting's father, Ren Fa?" Lin Kaiyun never expected that he had just beaten Nintendo and saved his cheat father-in-law. What surprised him most was why Ren Fa appeared here. He remembered that there seemed to be no such plot in the movie. Just when Lin Kaiyun was thinking about it, Ren Fa shouted again, "Kaiyun, son-in-law, you came just in time, help me to a safe place." Lin Kaiyun glanced at Ren Fa helplessly. This good son-in-law really made him very uncomfortable. He jumped off the wall, landed lightly on the ground, and said very seriously, "Master Ren Tingting and I haven't got married yet, let's call each other as before." Even if he and Ren Tingting really got married in the future, he didn't like this name, and now his relationship with Ren Tingting was still uncertain. "Kaiyun, I was too anxious and inconsiderate just now," Ren Fa said apologetically. He has been doing business for more than 10 years. How could he not hear Lin Kaiyun's displeasure? The most important thing is that after experiencing zombie attacks again and again, Lin Kaiyun's ability made Ren Fa dare not neglect him at all. Lin Kaiyun instantly showed a smile and said, "Master Ren, don't worry. That zombie has been seriously injured by me. Your life is safe." Lin Kaiyun just saw clearly that Nintendo was cut by his 7-star Dragon Abyss sword, his skin was torn and his defense was not even as good as the previous royal zombie. As soon as the voice fell, Nintendo lifted the stones and wooden boards on his body and roared to the sky. Roar. Nintendo's whole body was covered with dust, mixed with blood, sticky and disgusting, and at the same time, the stench of corpses filled the air. How is it possible? Did I just dazzle my eyes? Lin Kaiyun widened his eyes and looked at the arrogant Nintendo. This guy didn't have any injuries on his body. If it weren't for the long tear in the Qin Dynasty shroud on Nintendo's body, Lin Kaiyun would have thought that he hadn't cut this guy before. When Ren Fa saw Nintendo's figure, he quickly hid behind Lin Kaiyun, trembling with fear. "Kaiyun, save me, it was about to attack me." "Master Ren, step back." Lin Kaiyun took the 7-star Dragon Abyss sword in his hand, took a step forward, and a confident smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. "I don't believe it, you can be tougher than the zombie king Zhuangke." Roar. Nintendo roared loudly, his voice full of fighting spirit. After Lin Kaiyun stepped forward, he suddenly jumped out and waved his claws wildly. The claws were covered with nails stained with dried blood. Every time they waved, they brought wind force and a rotten smell. If they were attacked by it, the corpse poison on them would be very troublesome. Lin Kaiyun slid his feet and dodged Nintendo's claws sideways, then swept his foot and kicked Nintendo in the abdomen. At the same time, he drew the 8 diagrams with his hands, and the 8 diagrams diagram that only he could see appeared under his feet. Lin Kaiyun thrust the 7-star Dragon Abyss sword downward, and the whole person spun rapidly. 8 diagrams 64 palms, Lin Kaiyun spun extremely fast, and even a phantom appeared. Visually, it seemed as if he had grown 3 heads and 6 arms. His palms kept hitting Nintendo's body. Crack! Crack! The sound of Nintendo's bones breaking was clearly audible. His stiff body seemed to be shattered. Lin Kaiyun threw it like a sandbag and continuously hid it. The innate leads this Haoshan, covers the changes of this Haoshan, and turns me into a king. Buzz! In the huge area, an 8 diagrams Qimen appeared that only Lin Kaiyun could see. It flashed with a blue light. It was different from the 8 diagrams palm just now, and it was more complex and changeable. Lin Kaiyun stepped on the ground and turned the word Kun to the bottom of Nintendo. He pinched the magic formula with his hands, the word Kun, to hash, boom. In the ruins of the morning hall, a pillar of condensed oil jumped out and directly lifted up Nintendo. Lin Kaiyun's face changed and quickly became solemn. In an instant, he seemed to merge with the 8 trigrams Qimen. He united his mind and spirit, and successively transferred the words Soon and Li to the bottom of the earth pillar, pinching the magic formula, Soon, wind rope, Li, explosion. Suddenly, Several strong winds appeared around Nintendo, like ropes, tying Nintendo tightly to the earth pillar. Suddenly, a large ball of fire appeared in the sky and hit Nintendo accurately. Boom! Bang! The collision of fire and soil produced a violent explosion. The earth pillar collapsed instantly, and the rubble and dirt scattered all over the ground. Under this attack, Nintendo, as you can imagine, will either die or be disabled. The villagers who were trying to escape through the gate were now stunned. Madam, pinch me, is this a trick? Have the zombies been eliminated? What is this method? Is it a miracle? It must be the god of land who showed up to save us. God of land, that's nothing. This is a real living god. Lin Kaiyun's method of driving the soil and setting fires completely changed the villagers' outlook on life. Some even knelt down and kept talking about gods and heaven. Alice, Lin Kaiyun shook his head proudly and said, there is a rule in Maotian that when walking in the world, you must keep a low profile. I really want to keep a low profile, but my strength doesn't allow it. At this time, King and Ren finally squeezed through the crowd and got in while everyone was worshipping Lin Kaiyun. King looked at everyone kneeling before Lin Kaiyun and asked in confusion, Brother Lin, what's wrong with these people? How can I put it? Lin Kaiyun was speechless for a moment, not knowing how to answer. Then he stroked his bangs and looked up at the sky and said, maybe I'm too handsome, King asked seriously, but got such a reply. She was speechless. She glanced at Lin Kaiyun and cursed in a low voice, bah, shameless. Chapter 138 Once, twice, but not 3 times. Brother-in-law. Have you seen my father? As soon as Ren entered the yard, she looked around and found no trace of her father Ren K. Your father? Lin Kaiyun thought for a while. He had long forgotten what Ren father looked like in the movie, and when he rushed over, he saw nothing but Ren Fa. Then he shook his head and said, I didn't see your father. At this moment, Ren Fa, who had been hiding in the corner, came out. He looked at Ren and asked uncertainly, are you Zhu? You are. When Ren first saw Ren Fa, she didn't recognize him. After taking a closer look, she remembered and shouted unexpectedly, are you Uncle Ren Fa? When did you come, Uncle? Have you seen my father? Ren Fa sighed, put his hands behind his back and stopped looking at Ren Zhu. He shook his head weakly and said, Zhu, you have to mourn. What? Ren Zhu was a little unsteady when she heard the news. Her face was pale and her lips were trembling. Uncle, are you saying that my father is dead? Ren Fa nodded heavily. How could this happen? Ren Zhu couldn't help but shed tears. Although she had studied abroad for many years and didn't like her father's old-fashioned ideas, he was her father after all. The more she thought about it, the sadder she became. She squatted down and cried bitterly. Woo woo. King supported Ren Zhu's shoulders and comforted her. Hao, who was standing by, couldn't help much either. He could only look at Lin Kaiyun. Lin Kaiyun spread his hands, saying that he had no way to do anything and was powerless. Zhu, don't be sad. It's your grandfather Ren Tingting who turned into a zombie and bit Ake to death. Ren Fa walked to Ren Zhu and persuaded her. When he said this, he looked melancholy. He didn't expect that his father Ren Weiyang and Ake's father, Ren K, had both turned into zombies. Ren Fa was almost bitten to death by Ren Weiyang last time, but he was lucky enough to escape. When it was Ren K's turn, he died in the mouth of a zombie. Alice, what a sin, Ren Fa said with some sighs, then adjusted his mood and said to Ren Zhu, however, Kaiyun has already eliminated Nintendo, which can be regarded as revenge for your father. Huh? Yes. Nintendo has been eliminated. Why didn't the system broadcast it? When Lin Kaiyun heard what Ren Fa said, he suddenly realized that something was wrong. Generally speaking, when he eliminated zombies or ghosts, the system would remind him and reward him with merit points. Why didn't it happen this time? Could it be? Lin Kaiyun was thinking about it. There was a strange sound in the pile of soil, and Nintendo actually broke out of the ground. The shroud on his body was almost burned, but there was no injury on his wrinkled torso. Roar! Nintendo roared at Lin Kaiyun, and the voice was full of warning and fear. After absorbing the blood of his relatives, Nintendo's strength increased, and at the same time, wisdom was gradually born. It knew that Lin Kaiyun's attack could not kill it, but it hurt it every time. Moreover, it knew that its speed and physical strength were not Lin Kaiyun's opponents, so it was still a little afraid. Its defense is obviously much weaker than the royal zombies, but it is fine with such an attack? It's unscientific. Lin Kaiyun was indeed a little surprised. When they fought before, He felt that the corpse key level of this Nintendo was almost at level 6. But its defense was not as strong as the level 6 silver armor zombie, and its speed was not as fast as the level 6 flying zombie. It was simply useless. But now it seems that in addition to not being afraid of Taoism and sunlight, this Nintendo also has a powerful self-healing ability. This ability is abnormal enough that it may even be able to recover from a fatal blow. Thinking of this, a trace of greed emerged in Lin Kaiyun's eyes. If he was just curious about a mysterious potion in the music zombie movie before, then after Lin Kaiyun knew about this powerful recovery ability, he wanted to get this potion very much. Lin Kaiyun had a strange smile on his face, staring at Nintendo as if he was looking at prey, muttering, "I just don't know if I can extract the medicine from your body." As a level 6 mutant zombie, Nintendo was very keen in predicting danger. He immediately discovered Lin Kaiyun's murderous intention and quickly spit out black gas and ran away. Damn, it's this thing again. Lin Kaiyun threw out 2 wind charms in a row, but failed to blow away the black gas. He hadn't found a way to deal with it yet. After the black gas dissipated, Nintendo disappeared as expected. You can't do it again and again. I will definitely find a way to deal with this black gas next time. Lin Kaiyun's face was livid. In Lin Kaiyun's view, Nintendo's strength was not a threat at all, but it was like a piece of meat on a rolling knife or a marshmallow. It couldn't be killed and could still run. For Lin Kaiyun, the damage was not great, but it was extremely insulting. Lin Kaiyun turned his head to look at Ahao and asked, "Ahao, where are those bottles and jars I asked you to take?" Ahao opened the cloth bag very carefully, revealing the test tubes of medicine inside, and said, "Brother, they're all here." The cloth bag was filled with dead grass by Ahao, and none of them were damaged. Lin Kaiyun nodded with satisfaction and said, "Okay, Ahao, you keep it well, I will be very useful." At the same time, Mamadi and another apprentice, Akayang, had already sent all the corpses back to the customers' homes, and were waiting for Ahao in an inn. However, it had been nearly a day, and Ahao still hadn't returned. Mamadi looked at the door with some worry, but didn't see Ahao at all, but her stomach started to growl. Mamadi picked her nose, then rubbed her stomach, muttering, "Man is made of iron, food is made of steel, and we can't starve." Then Mamadi took out $1, reluctantly slapped it on the counter, and shouted to the waiter inside, "Boss, bring some food. Remember to give me the rest of the money, don't worry." "Sir, it will be delivered immediately." The waiter put away the $1, swung the towel, and got busy. Soon, the waiter brought a few plates of vegetables and steamed buns to Mamadi and the others' table, and then left. "Sir, please enjoy." Mamadi just picked up the chopsticks and was about to pick up the food, but suddenly froze, glanced, and moved her ears. It turned out that what the guests at the next table said was heard by Mamadi. "Have you heard? Ren Jiu, old Master Ren, has turned into a corpse, and many people are going to die." "Really? How did you know?" "Oh, many people have fled Ren Jiu and will go back to avoid the limelight." Chapter 139. Don't push, let me pass. When Mommy heard this, she immediately put down her chopsticks, walked to the next table, and sat down very rudely. "Excuse me, HU." Mommy was about to ask about Ren Jiu, but suddenly her nose itched and she couldn't help sneezing. 2 men in gray cloth at the next table were stunned for a moment, then they flew into a rage, pulling Mamadi's clothes and cursing, "Fuck, who are you? Are you looking for death? Are you here to disgust us on purpose?" Akayang was shocked when he saw it, and quickly grabbed a few people, smiling and persuading, "2 brothers, it's a misunderstanding, a misunderstanding." The noisy posture here also attracted the waiter, who quickly opened his hands, separated a few people, and said with a smile, "Dear guests, please be patient. Please be patient." Humph! The cloth-clothed man let go of Mamadi, picked up a plate on the table, and scolded, "Look, our dishes have been sprayed with snot by this sloppy Taoist priest. How do you say we can eat it?" Mamadi wiped her nose awkwardly, and said a little embarrassedly, "You guys eat the ones below. The ones below are not sprayed." The cloth-clothed man handed the plate directly to Mamadi and cursed, come on, eat it." Mamadi turned his head away and pretended nothing happened. Bang! The man in plain clothes opened his clothes, took out a knife from his waist, stuck it into the table, and said fiercely, "If you don't eat today, I will kill you. Don't go too far." Mamadi glanced at the knife, his face changed, rolled up his sleeves, and said, "If you push me too hard, I will do it." He is a Taoist priest from Maoshan. He has been learning physical skills since he was a child. His martial arts cannot be said to be very strong, but it is naturally no problem to deal with ordinary scoundrels. Although the Taoist priests of Maoshan cannot attack ordinary people, they can naturally fight back when facing life threats. Yo! You stinky Taoist priest, you ruined our two brothers' dinner, and now you still don't know what's good for you, right? The man in plain clothes pulled out a knife, held it in his hand, and looked like he was going to do it. Mamadi also picked up the peach wood sword. Although it was made of wood, it was an inch longer and an inch stronger, and it didn't hurt people. How good! Guests, calm down, calm down. When the waiter saw that the two were about to fight, he bravely stopped them in the middle. After seeing that the expressions of Mamadi and the common man had eased, he said with a smile, "We are all out. It's better to have less trouble than more, otherwise it will alarm the soldiers and it will be bad for everyone. How about this? You compensate these guests for their food, and then you two don't care about it." The waiter was a smart man, and he told the two of them a solution. Humph. That's better. The common man didn't want to cause trouble either, so he sat on the stool with his head down and cursed unhappily. You can tell at a glance that you are a fake Taoist priest, not even as good as the waiter. Mamadi was so angry when he heard this, and was about to explode, but was stopped by the waiter, who said contemptuously, "Okay, it's your problem. You said you were eating your own food. No one can stand sneezing on someone else's table." Mamadi thought so too. It seemed that he was really looking for trouble. Mamadi, who is always shameless, was rarely embarrassed at this time. He said slowly, "I didn't mean it. I just wanted to find out something." The waiter put the towel on his arm and said, "This is an inn. What's there to find out? If you want to find out something, turn right and go to the casino." "What casino am I going to?" Mamadi shook his head, and the dust on his hood flew around. He was used to it. He asked, "I just want to ask about a zombie incident in Renjiazhuang." The waiter moved his feet in disgust, put some distance between him and Mamadi, and said nonchalantly, "I thought it was something else. Do we need to find out about this?" There was a zombie incident at the funeral of the Ren family in Renjiazhuang, and many people were bitten to death. Everyone in Renjiazhuang witnessed it. What? People are dead? Mamadi clenched his fists when he heard this. Zombies and zombies biting people to death are two completely different things. Moreover, his own apprentice, Al-Hao, was the one who was going to deliver the corpse to the Ren family. It was basically certain that Al-Hao had made a mistake or even caused trouble. Mama gnashed her teeth and cursed, "Al-Hao, you stinky boy, please don't cause any big trouble." She knew her own apprentice. Al-Hao usually liked to use zombies to tease others. He would usually scold and reprimand others for no reason, and Al-Hao had restrained himself a lot. Otherwise, he would not have let Al-Hao go to deliver the corpse alone this time. Mama remembered that it was not just Al-Hao himself, but also Lin Kaiyun, and then she muttered, "No. What about Kaiyun? How could such a thing happen? How did Lin Jiu educate his apprentice? Kaiyun, let's go." Mama turned around and was about to leave. The waiter grabbed Mamadi's arm and stretched out his hand. "What do you mean? Are you pretending to be confused?" Mamadi asked in confusion. "What's wrong? Is there anything wrong?" The waiter glanced and yelled, "Money. Compensation for the vegetables." Mamadi blushed immediately, and reluctantly gave the money to the waiter, turned around and left. "Akiang, let's go." Akiang followed and asked, "Master, where are we going?" "To find Aheo," Mamadi said in a bad mood, "to the security team. If we are unlucky, Aheo has been caught." At this time, it has been a while since the zombies killed people in Renjiazhuang. Those who have the conditions have gone out to avoid danger and come back when it is safe. Of course, more people can only stay in Renjiazhuang trembling with fear, and the safest place is naturally the security team. Many people crowded at the entrance of the security team. Inside the gate, there were several corpses covered with white cloth, and some women and children were kneeling around them. "Dad, what happened to you? Wake up, Dad, what should I do now that you are gone, my son?" Woo woo woo. The separation of life and death, especially the tragic death, the family members cried bitterly and their hearts were broken. The crowd of onlookers talked about it. Although they were still scared now, they were also glad that they ran fast at that time. "Don't push, let me pass, get up." Mamadi was on the periphery of the crowd, and took Akiang to squeeze in desperately, but people squeezed to death, and the crowd did not move at all. Mamadi had no way to get in. Achoo! Mamadi stretched out his hand to pull the person in front of him, and suddenly he sneezed again. He pressed his nose and said, "What's going on? Why do I keep sneezing today? Hey, what's that smell? It smells so disgusting. Did someone poop? No, I can't stand it. Around Mamadi, everyone covered their noses and consciously made way. Chapter 140. Catch them. In front of Mamadi, no matter how hard they squeezed, the crowd didn't move at all. Unexpectedly, she sneezed and made a path. Mamadi ignored the disgust of the people next to her and walked forward with her hands behind her back. During the walk, she kept wiping her nose and smearing it on her clothes. Hey! When the people next to her saw this scene, they even moved away, for fear of touching Mamadi's clothes. Mamadi brought Akiang and came to the door of the security team very easily. At first glance, there was a white cloth inside the door of the security team and a group of crying family members. So many people died. Mamadi's fingers pinched unconsciously. He knew that people had died, but he didn't expect so many to die. He said with a worried look on his face, "This is troublesome." Akiang also murmured worriedly, "Master, what should we do? How did Ahau cause such a big disaster?" Mamadi also cursed angrily. "If it was really caused by him, I must skin him alive." At this time, a man in dignified clothes walked out of the security team. His leather shoes and belt were polished to shine. He also held a baton in his hand, but his face looked a little special. He looked very wretched. Captain Xiao, you are awake." The security team members around him greeted him respectfully. Captain Xiao acted very arrogantly. He waved his hand to signal, then glanced at the corpse covered with white cloth, turned his head away with disgust, and asked, "What's going on? Why did so many people die?" The follower next to him responded, "Captain, there was a zombie at the funeral of Mr. Ren of the Ren family. So many people were bitten to death by zombies." Zombies. Captain Xiao was immediately frightened when he heard it, and muttered thankfully, "Fortunately, I drank too much and fell asleep, so I didn't go." Then, he quickly pretended to be surprised, took 2 steps forward, looked heartbroken, and said, "Zombies actually appeared under my rule. This is simply not taking me seriously. It's only because I wasn't at the scene, otherwise I would have killed the zombies." "Captain, be brave. Captain, be brave." The other members of the security team have followed Captain Xiao for many years, so they naturally knew when to cheer, so they all cooperated and acted as the atmosphere group. "Oh. Master Ren of Renjiazhuang is the most respected person in our village. I didn't expect that he would suffer such a disaster. I am so sad." Captain Xiao moved step by step, shaking his head, looking at all the onlookers, patting his chest pretending to be sad, and then asked, "Which one is Master Ren's body?" A kneeling Ren family junior pointed in front of him and said to Captain Xiao, "Captain Xiao, Uncle's body is here." Master Ren. Captain Xiao lifted the white cloth with concern, and saw Ren K's shriveled body and the bite wound on his neck. He put down the white cloth with disgust and asked with concern, "Master Ren's daughter, Ren's Huzu, why didn't she come?" The Ren family junior said truthfully, "Captain Xiao, Sister's Huzu is at home to clean up the aftermath. How sad a girl must be facing such a disaster, and she has to force herself to deal with complicated household chores. As the security captain of Renjiazhuang, I must give active help." Captain Xiao showed a meaningful expression when he heard the words. He had seen Ren's Huzu after she came back some time ago. At that time, he was attracted by her fashionable and beautiful temperament and had been looking for various reasons to get close to her. And now, it was a perfect opportunity. Ren K was dead, and Ren's Huzu was at a vulnerable and sad time, which was just convenient for him to take action. If he captured Ren's Huzu, he would not only get her, but also the property of the Ren family. Hey! Captain Xiao thought and laughed unconsciously. The follower next to him quietly reminded, "Captain, pay attention to your image." Ahem. Captain Xiao reacted and coughed to cover up his embarrassment. As a result, he turned around and saw the painful woman next to him, and immediately said, "These people are the heroes of my Renjiazhuang. They were all cruelly killed by zombies. As the security captain of Renjiazhuang, I must take responsibility." After that, Captain Xiao came to the woman, cleared his throat, and said, "Young lady, I respect your husband very much, and I have the obligation to take care of his wife. From now on, I will take care of you. You will live in my house from now on." The woman sobbed softly. After hearing Captain Xiao's words, she looked up and didn't know what to do. She wanted to refuse, but she was afraid, so she could only obey and remain silent. Haha, seeing that the woman acquiesced, Captain Xiao laughed happily and stopped pretending. He ordered, They were all bitten to death by zombies. There is no need to interrogate them. Let the family members take them back and bury them by themselves, Captain. There is a body. The family members haven't come yet, and they can't be found in the household registration. That's a refugee. Bury him directly in the back mountain. Captain Cao waved his hand casually. He was anxious to go home and prepare. In the evening, he would have a little wine with the young lady just now and spend some time with her. Seeing this, Mamidi shouted directly, "Wait, we can't bury them. None of them can be buried. Who is it? Do you have the right to say whether they can be buried or not?" Captain Cao turned his head unhappily, squinting his eyes, looking up and down at Mamidi, and asked, "Taoist priest? What do you want to do?" Mamidi explained, "These were bitten by zombies and have been poisoned by corpses. They must be burned immediately, otherwise they will turn into zombies." Before Captain Cao could respond, some family members cried and objected, "We can't burn them. Wouldn't that grind their bones to ashes?" "Yes, I heard from the old people that burning them can't lead to reincarnation in the underworld. My son is most afraid of fire. We can't burn him." After the protest, the family members cried even harder. Captain Cao was also annoyed by the crying, staring at Mamidi and shouting, "Turn into zombies? What evidence do you have? If you can't show it, you are just misleading the public." Mamidi shook her head and continued, "I can't show any evidence. They won't mutate during the day, but they will definitely turn into zombies at night." Turn into zombies? Seeing Mamidi so sure, the people around were also a little scared. Captain Cao immediately pulled out his pistol, pointed the gun at Mamidi, and shouted, "Can't you produce evidence? He is a liar. Come, arrest him." "Yes." The security team surrounded Mamidi after hearing the voice. Akiang looked at everyone nervously and asked worriedly, "Master, what should we do? How should I know what to do?" Mamidi said helplessly, and then shouted, "Captain Cao, believe me, these people will really turn into zombies at night. Hurry up and arrest them." Captain Cao waved his hand. Chapter 141, Hit Me With Your Little Fist. The Ren family mansion is the most luxurious and bright house in the whole village. It used to be very lively, but now it is unusually deserted. Only a few servants, under the command of Ren Tingting, cleaned up the messy yard. The bodies bitten to death by zombies were all carried to the security team, including Ren K's body. At this time, Lin Kaiyun was sitting in a secluded room, holding his chin, looking at the bottles and jars on the table with a puzzled look, muttering, "There is no mark on it. If you put them all together, is it a mysterious potion?" After seeing Ren Xiandi's amazing recovery ability, Lin Kaiyun became more and more interested in the potion, but the bearded foreigner was also dead, and it was not easy to catch Xiandi, so he could only try it himself. "If you want to do it, just do it." Lin Kaiyun is not a person who wastes time, and there is no other choice. He directly picked up these bottles and jars and poured them into a porcelain bowl. These green, yellow, white, and various unknown liquids, after being mixed together, had an unknown reaction, bubbling constantly, and steam, while emitting a pungent smell. Ugh! Lin Kaiyun smelled it and almost vomited. He quickly pinched his nose and moved away from the porcelain bowl, muttering to himself speechlessly. The laboratory of the bearded foreigner before didn't smell so bad. Whether it was smelling or looking at the potion he prepared, it didn't look like a panacea at all, but more like a poison that even mice wouldn't eat. When preparing the potion before, Lin Kaiyun still had the confidence to move forward, but now, he didn't have the courage to take this potion at all. In the words of later generations, it was a chemical garbage. At the same time, in the yard, Ren Tingting had already directed the servants to clean up the destroyed morning hall, including the wall that was knocked over by Nintendo, and rebuilt it. "Miss Ren, I'm so glad to see you're okay." At this time, Captain Cao came in with two followers. When they saw Ren Tingting, their eyes were full of greed. Ren Tingting had been studying abroad for many years and had seen a lot of such disgusting looks, so she hated them very much. She asked coldly, "Captain Cao, what are you doing here?" "Miss Ren, such a big thing happened in the Ren family, and it was the starting point. As the security captain of Ren Jiu, I naturally have to come and take a look." Captain Cao said some high-sounding words, and then he took 2 steps closer to Ren Tingting and said with a smile, "Besides, I can't bear to see women being wronged. Such a big thing happened, you must be very sad and wronged, right? Do you want me to help you?" After speaking, Captain Cao smiled evilly and raised his arm, as if he wanted to hug Ren Tingting. "No need, Ren Zhengying noticed Captain Cao's restless hands, stepped back a few steps quickly, and said decisively, Captain Cao, you don't need to investigate. It was Grandpa Nintendo who turned into a zombie. These people were bitten to death by zombies. I'm fine, so I don't need your help. If there's nothing else, you can go back. Ren Zhengying's words were undoubtedly in order to expel the guest, and she said it very clearly. But Captain Cao himself was just making a fuss. Naturally, he didn't care what Ren Zhengying said. Instead, he pretended to be confused and threatened Ren Zhengying with a stern face. Grandpa Ren, turned into a zombie? Oh. Does that mean all these things were caused by the Ren family? If so, Miss Ren, I must take you back for investigation. How could Ren Zhengying not hear the threat? She scolded angrily, Captain Cao, you can become the captain because my father and Marshal Luo recommended you. Don't go too far, that's why I have to be responsible for the people of Renjiazhuang. Although the people were bitten to death by zombies, this zombie was your Ren family's old man Ren Tingting. This matter must be investigated. Captain Cao put his hands on his waist, with a confident look, and continued to ask, Miss Ren, look, do you want to come with me immediately? Or do you want me to arrest you? After that, Captain Cao cast a coquettish eye at Ren Zhengying and chuckled, or, Miss Ren, come to my house and have a good talk with me. If I am satisfied, then let's forget about it. After this disaster, the Ren family is now an orphan with only money and a beautiful daughter. In the eyes of Captain Cao, they are a real treasure. Miss Ren, why are you still listening to him? Just drive him away. At this moment, behind the rockery, King came out with a broom and looked at Captain Cao with disgust. Oh, Captain Cao was a little surprised when he saw King. Although King was dressed simply, she looked very sunny and had a youthful and playful temperament. This was rare among the women Captain Cao had met. He touched his chin and said with a smirk, is this the maid of the Ren family? She looks good. King was too lazy to look at this pervert. She stared at Ren Zhengying and said, Miss Ren, if you don't drive her away, I will do it. King has a straightforward temper, but this is the Ren family after all, and she will not hit people directly, which seems very impolite. Ren Zhengying nodded and said directly, Captain Cao, let's go. Miss King, you are not as easy to talk to as me. Why do you want to fight? After hearing this, Captain Cao did not react at all, but smiled even more brightly, and said to King teasingly, ha ha ha, little girl, use your little fist to hit me hard, then I won't be polite. King threw down the broom and took 2 big steps to Captain Cao. At this time, Captain Cao did not realize that something was wrong, and the smile on his face had not disappeared. King clenched her fist and hit Captain Cao's nose steadily. Bang! The fist was not big, but the power of this punch was like a strong man's full-strength blow, directly knocking Captain Cao back more than 10 steps. Blood? Bleeding, Captain Cao was knocked unconscious by King's punch. He shook his dizzy head and regained consciousness. He subconsciously touched his nose, which was in great pain. At the same time, blood flowed down. He shouted angrily at his henchman, why don't you do it? Take these 2 bitches back. Upon hearing this, the henchman raised his gun and pointed it at Ren Zhengying and King without even pulling the point. After all, the security team was very powerful in Renjiazhuang before. Basically, no one dared to resist once they raised their guns. HMPH, Captain Cao covered his nose, sneered, glanced at Ren Zhengying and King, and cursed with hatred, bitch, I'm giving you a good face, right? Ren Zhengying winked at King and whispered, Miss King, you better go. King waved her hands indifferently, it's okay, the gun can't hurt me. Oh, are you a fool? Seeing that neither of them looked afraid, Captain Cao took out his pistol, took off the safety, and pointed it at King. Chapter 142. Fortunately I didn't drink this potion. Captain Cao took out his pistol, loaded with ammunition, and looked like he was about to shoot. This security captain in troubled times was not just a bully. To be honest, his hands were stained with a lot of blood. Splash. At this moment, a basin of smelly liquid suddenly splashed over and sprinkled all over Captain Cao's body. Sizzle. As soon as this liquid touched his clothes, a lot of hot air came out, like sulfuric acid, corroding all the security uniforms on Captain Cao's body. Captain Cao didn't have time to care who splashed it. He quickly took off his clothes and shouted to his followers, hurry up, help me take off my clothes, it hurts. When several people touched the corroded areas, it was like pressing on boiling hot iron. and blisters appeared on their hands immediately. The two followers fully demonstrated what it means to work without putting in any effort. They surrounded Captain Xiao and worked hard. As a result, they only pulled the intact parts of his clothes and did not touch the corroded areas at all. "Can you two hurry up? It hurts so much," Captain Xiao cursed in pain. He had no choice but to tear off the corroded clothes. However, the corrosion had already touched the flesh inside, and some of them were stuck together. The tearing felt like cutting flesh. "Ah! It hurts so much," Captain Xiao yelled, and tore the corroded clothes into pieces, pulling them off piece by piece. After taking them off, Captain Xiao was sweating all over, and he didn't care about the dust. He lay on the ground exhausted. A piece of flesh was torn off his abdomen and thighs. His hands were covered with blisters as if they were taken out of a frying pan, and some of the skin had fallen off. The follower was very considerate at this time. He took off his coat and covered Captain Xiao with it. "Captain, cover yourself up, don't catch a cold." Captain Xiao took a few breaths and cursed with gritted teeth. "Damn, who poured sulfuric acid? Catch him for me, I want to torture him to death." Tisk tisk tisk. Lin Kaiyun walked out comfortably with his hands behind his back, shaking his head and said, "Fortunately, it was not used. This medicine was indeed not mixed correctly." Captain Xiao raised his head with difficulty, followed the voice and saw Lin Kaiyun, and cursed angrily, "Damn, it's him, catch him for me." "Yes." The two followers looked at each other, raised their guns in unison, pulled the bolt, and shouted, "Boy, surrender immediately, or we will shoot." Lin Kaiyun ignored the muzzle of the gun and said calmly, "I think you'd better carry your captain back, otherwise I will change my mind later and he won't be able to go back." Captain Xiao shouted, "Don't waste time with him, shoot him in the leg, don't let him run away. Boy, don't accept my toast, then drink the wine." The two followers put their hands on the trigger and were about to shoot. "Ah!" Lin Kaiyun shook his head helplessly, raised his hand casually, and the spiritual power in his hand, like a silk thread, tied to the two followers. "What's going on? My body seems to be out of control." "Me too." The bodies of the two followers were connected by the spiritual power thread. Lin Kaiyun moved his fingers, like a puppet show, to control the two to turn around and point the gun at Captain Xiao. When Captain Xiao saw that the gun was pointed at him, he didn't care about the pain, and quickly climbed up and cursed, "What are you two doing? Are you stupid? Shoot that boy." "Captain, it's not me, my body is out of control." "Captain, run. I feel my body is about to shoot." The two followers only had their mouths to use, and shouted anxiously. However, Lin Kaiyun was not going to give Captain Xiao a chance to escape. He smiled and said, "I told you a long time ago, but you didn't listen." After that, Lin Kaiyun moved his fingers to control the two followers, pointing the muzzle of the gun downwards, aiming between Captain Xiao's legs. Bang! Bang! The trigger was pulled continuously, and two bullets flew out of the chamber. Captain Xiao didn't have any time to react. He just felt a chill under his crotch, as if an egg was cracked, and liquid flowed down his thigh. "Ah! Ah!" Captain Xiao cried and screamed, covering his crotch and jumping around on the spot. "Captain, what's wrong with you? Captain, are you okay?" "It wasn't us." The two followers suddenly felt a chill under their crotch. Lin Kaiyun behind them scared them so much that they trembled all over. It was too weird, and he must have magic. "That's enough." Lin Kaiyun put away his spiritual power, waved his hand casually, and said, "Carry your Captain Xiao away." The two followers saw that he could move, and hurriedly helped Captain Xiao up on the left and right. "Captain, let's go. That guy is not a human being." "Yes, Captain, let's go." Captain Xiao was stunned at this time. The physical pain was secondary. The most important thing was the mental pain and torture. He was finished. He became a eunuch. What would he do with the rest of his life? For a pervert, this kind of thing made him want to die. He hurriedly shouted, "Hurry, help me find a doctor, maybe there's still hope." The two followers ran away with Captain Xiao as if they were running for their lives. King came close to Lin Kaiyun and asked curiously, "Brother Lin, is he really?" Lin Kaiyun nodded and smiled. "It's basically impossible to save him." "Hey!" King covered her mouth and laughed when she heard that. At the same time, she gave Lin Kaiyun a thumbs up and said admiringly, "Brother Lin, your idea is good. I guess he will never bully girls again in his life." Lin Kaiyun looked King up and down and joked, King, you know a lot, huh?" King felt Lin Kaiyun's gaze and did not avoid it. She said directly, "Birds of a feather flock together. I learned that from you, you girl." Lin Kaiyun was helpless. At this time, Ren Zhengying looked at the two of them with a confused face and asked, "Brother-in-law, Tingting, what are you talking about? Why can't he bully girls? You don't know." Lin Kaiyun and Tingting shouted in unison. Ren Zhengying nodded. "You don't know? What's wrong?" Ren Zhengying's eyes were very sincere and her expression was very serious. She didn't look like she was lying. "Ha ha ha." Lin Kaiyun and Tingting looked at each other and laughed. Lin Kaiyun waved his hand and said, "It's better not to know, otherwise you will be like Tingting, not looking like a girl." Tingting was immediately unhappy when she heard it. She rolled up her sleeves and shouted, "What did you say? Why don't I look like a girl?" Okay, you look like a girl. You look like a girl the most." When Lin Kaiyun saw that Tingting was about to fight, he ran away. "That's more like it." Tingting nodded in satisfaction, then realized something was wrong and chased after him, shouting, "What do you mean by similar? I'm fine." Ren Zhengying saw that Lin Kaiyun and Tingting had both run out, and shouted, "Brother-in-law, Tingting, where are you going?" "To the security team. We have to deal with all the bodies, otherwise they will turn into zombies at night." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 143. He really looks like a liar. At the entrance of the security team, the onlookers returned to their homes trembling with fear after the security team repeatedly assured them that they would protect the safety of Renji Azhuang. The bodies of those who were bitten to death were also taken away by their families. There was no more noise in the huge security team, only the wailing of Captain Xiao. "Waste, all waste, hurry up, go to the provincial capital to find a doctor for me, and send someone to find Marshal Luo, and tell him that I was attacked and hope for military reinforcements." The rest of my life, Captain Xiao was completely crazy and kept smashing things. At this time, the woman who was forced to stay by Captain Xiao came out with chicken soup and greeted carefully, "Captain, take care of yourself. Drink some chicken soup." Slap. Captain Xiao, who was angry, slapped the woman to the ground with his backhand, and angrily cursed, "Drink chicken soup, get out of here, I don't want to see you." Woo woo. The woman didn't know what happened, she just knelt on the ground and cried softly. A security guard kindly reminded her, "Go. Our captain won't need you anymore." "What the hell did you say? I'll shoot you." Captain Xiao was furious when he heard this, and he took out his pistol and pointed it at the security guard who was talking. "Hey! Why are you so angry?" Lin Kaiyun and Tingting walked into the security team. The people in the security team had heard about Captain Xiao's experience, and they were holding their guns vigilantly, but they didn't dare to stop Lin Kaiyun. "Who dared to break into the security team?" Captain Xiao turned around and stared at the door angrily. As a result, his angry face stopped abruptly, and kept twitching. He didn't know whether he should put down the pistol in his hand. At this time, Captain Xiao's expression was very wonderful, with 3 points of resentment, 5 points of fear, and 2 points of helplessness. On such a wretched face, there can be such a variety of expressions at the same time. He is simply a good candidate for the movie Emperor. Lin Kaiyun walked directly into the hall, looked at Captain Xiao lying on the stretcher, and said with a smile, "Captain Xiao, you are holding a gun, don't you welcome me? What do you want? Do you want to fight to the death?" Captain Xiao said in a heavy voice, gritting his teeth. Although his words were very harsh, he still put down his gun obediently. In this age where zombies and ghosts coexist, the gun in your hand cannot bring a full sense of security. After seeing Lin Kaiyun's magic-like methods, Captain Xiao finally couldn't bear to sacrifice his life and chose to endure. A fight to the death? Do you think you can defeat these rotten fish with just a dozen guns? Lin Kaiyun glanced at the security team with contempt, laughed disdainfully, then shook his head and said, "Forget it, I don't have time to chat with you. What about those bodies that were bitten to death before?" Captain Xiao was relieved to hear that Lin Kaiyun was not here to take his life, and now the situation was stronger than the person, so he could only answer truthfully, "They have been taken back by their families, and those whose identities are unidentified have been buried in the back mountain." "Buried?" Lin Kaiyun exclaimed. He didn't expect the security team to be so efficient. According to the movies, they usually stay in the security team for a few nights and then investigate. Captain Cao saw Lin Kaiyun surprise and asked in confusion, buried them? Are the two unidentified people your relatives, Pa? Lin Kaiyun spat in disdain and said in a bad tone, fuck relatives, if they are bitten by zombies, they will be poisoned by corpses and are likely to become zombies. It's useless to bury them. If they rise from the dead, your Renjiazhuang will probably be finished. Hearing this, a follower whispered to Captain Cao, Captain, is what the sloppy Taoist priest said before true? Lin Kaiyun asked, what sloppy Taoist priest? Captain Cao didn't dare to hide it and said directly, there was a sloppy Taoist priest in the afternoon, and he said the same thing as you, but he looked like a liar, so I caught him. Lin Kaiyun raised his eyebrows. Could this sloppy Taoist priest be my mother's uncle? It is very likely that there is no one else who can get such an evaluation except him. Lin Kaiyun shook his head helplessly, trying hard not to laugh, and said, hurry up, let that Taoist priest out, he should be my uncle master. What? Your uncle master? Captain Cao was shocked when he heard it. In his mind, Lin Kaiyun was almost like a devil, and he ended up arresting his uncle master. Captain Cao became more and more panicked the more he thought about it. He stood up and shouted, quick, let them go now. Soon, Mamadi and Akiang were taken out by the security team. During the time, Mamadi kept saying, they will really turn into zombies. I didn't lie to you. Although my master and I look like liars, we are really not liars. Lin Kaiyun was speechless when he heard what Mamadi said. He walked out of the hall and said to Mamadi, Uncle Mamadi, no wonder you were arrested. Your explanation is too much like a liar. Mamadi was a little surprised to see Lin Kaiyun. He glanced at him. In the hall, Captain Cao had a ferocious expression on his face. All the security team members were holding guns and asked, Kaiyun? Were you arrested too? I was arrested. When Lin Kaiyun heard this, he immediately asked Captain Cao behind him with a malicious taste, Captain Cao, are you going to arrest me? I dare not. How could I? Captain Cao waved his hands repeatedly, then endured the pain in his crotch, walked forward quickly, bowed to Mamadi, and said sincerely, Master, I was too narrow-minded before and offended you, please don't mind it. Kaiyun leaned sideways and asked in a low voice, Master, what's the matter? How should I know? Mamadi glared at Kaiyun, then pointed at the bowing Captain Cao, a little confused, and asked, Kaiyun. This? Lin Kaiyun nodded with a smile and said, Captain Cao, don't worry. My Mamadi uncle is naturally not a petty person. That's great. Two masters, please come in. Captain Cao stood up with a smile and invited Lin Kaiyun and Mamadi into the hall. Mamadi also discovered some clues at this time, and said to Lin Kaiyun, Kaiyun, why is he so afraid of you? Did you hurt people with Taoism? Maoshan has rules that ordinary people cannot be hurt. Hearing this, Lin Kaiyun raised his hand directly and said very confidently, Uncle Mamadi, I promise that I definitely did not use Maoshan Taoism to hurt people. He thought to himself, I really didn't use Maoshan Taoism, and I hurt people with other means, so this is not a lie. That's more like it. Mama nodded, and didn't ask any more questions. She glanced and didn't see Ahao, so she asked, by the way, Kaiyun, where is Ahao? Didn't you come together? Chapter 144 Misunderstanding the Meaning of Recovery. Ahao, I'm staying at the Ren family, helping the young lady of the Ren family clean up the mess. Lin Kaiyun sat on the chair, took a sip of the tea handed to him by Captain Cao. Mamadi sat on the left side of Lin Kaiyun and asked anxiously, Kaiyun? Is that zombie Nintendo? What's going on? Yes, Lin Kaiyun nodded. Mamadi was furious when she heard it, and pounded the chair angrily, saying, it's true, Ahao, this bastard caused such a big disaster, and you too, Ahao, usually likes to use zombies to tease people. Why don't you, as a senior brother, keep an eye on him? Of course Lin Kaiyun would not say it. This matter actually had little to do with Ahao. He followed Mamadi's thoughts, spread his hands, and said with great pain, yes, Uncle Mamadi, calm down, it's all my fault that I didn't keep an eye on Ahao. Captain Cao on the side watched the two of them talking about this and that, and did not interrupt, enduring the pain and serving them respectfully. At this moment, a hurried shout came from outside. Oh no, Captain, someone has been bitten to death again. Lin Kaiyun and Mamadi looked at each other, both stood up from their chairs, and asked, where is it? Is it a zombie? It was Lao Liu. He was growing vegetables in his own vegetable garden. He heard a sound and thought it was a mouse, so he took Ant Liu to kill the mouse. As a result, Lao Liu was bitten to death. And Aunt Lia was also scared silly. Mamidi sniffed, thought about it, and said directly, "We have to go and take a look. We can't let zombies hurt people again." "Okay," Lin Kaiyun nodded, and then said to Captain Cao in an imperative tone, "Call people now to dig out and burn the bodies that the family members had brought back and buried in the back mountain. Otherwise, if the zombies really turn into zombies, no one in your Ren Tingting can escape." "Okay, I'll send someone right away." Captain Cao nodded, called 5 or 6 people directly, and set off with shovels. Although these security teams don't usually do real work, they are all from Ren Tingting, and they can't just watch these corpses turn into zombies and bite their relatives and friends to death. Even though they were very scared, they all went with courage. Lin Kaiyun continued, "Captain Cao, you come with us." I want to go too." Captain Cao pointed to his face and said sadly. Lin Kaiyun shouted angrily, "Nonsense, if you don't go, there won't be enough manpower." But my body hasn't recovered yet." Captain Cao hesitated and said a little aggrieved. Here, Lin Kaiyun certainly knew Captain Cao's injury, took out a pill from the storage belt, threw it to Captain Cao, and said, "You eat it, and you will be cured." "Really? That's great." Captain Cao was so excited when he heard it, and didn't think too much, and quickly swallowed the pill into his mouth, ignoring the high temperature of the tea, and drank it directly. After eating, Captain Cao felt refreshed, as if he was several years younger, and all the pains and hidden diseases in his body disappeared. "I'm really healed, it's amazing." Captain Cao moved on the spot and found that he really didn't hurt, as if he had never been injured. "Great, Captain Cao can pick up girls again." He touched his crotch with joy, but it was empty, nothing. In an instant, Captain Cao burst into tears, a wretched man, tears dripping, shouting, "How could this be? Isn't it healed?" Captain Cao obviously misunderstood the meaning of recovery, and this gap made him want to die. Lin Kaiyun watched Captain Cao perform the ups and downs of life, and said with a smile, "It only heals your injuries, not replenishes what you lack." Captain Cao's expression was very ugly, and he shouted hysterically, "Then what's the use of my recovery? It's useful. Your injuries are gone, and your lifespan will increase a lot." Lin Kaiyun said with a bad taste. "My life force is gone, what's the point of living?" Captain Cao said as he pulled out his pistol and pointed it at his forehead, looking like he was going to commit suicide. However, everyone at the scene looked at Captain Cao silently, no one tried to persuade him, and no one tried to stop him. Ahem, seeing that no one tried to stop him, Captain Cao put down his gun awkwardly, shook his arm, and explained, "I just tried to see if the injury was really healed. Well, it was very smooth to draw the gun, so it seems to be healed." Lin Kaiyun and his mother ignored him, and the mentally retarded Captain Cao walked away. At the scene of the incident, a body covered with a white cloth was placed on the ground. Several security guards were guarding nearby. When they saw Captain Cao coming, they greeted him, "Captain." "Hello, Captain." Captain Cao nodded, and then asked Lin Kaiyun, "Master Lin, what do you think we should do?" Lin Kaiyun said, "Lift the white cloth, let me see." "Didn't you hear what the Taoist said? Lift it quickly." Captain Cao scolded his men like a lackey. The security guards present were very surprised as to why Captain Cao obeyed the young Taoist priest, but they did not dare to say anything and carefully lifted the white cloth. Lin Kaiyun bent down, stretched out his hand to move the head of the corpse, and saw a pair of purple tooth holes on the neck. At this time, a security guard who wanted to show off and make a contribution said flatteringly, "Captain, this should be a tiger bite. I have seen people killed by tigers before, and it was like this. Have you ever seen a tiger that only sucks blood from the neck and does not eat meat?" Lin Kaiyun said with a smile. That makes sense." Captain Cao rubbed his hands and smiled apologetically, then raised his hand and hit the security guard's head and cursed, "Tiger, tiger, I think you look like a tiger." Lin Kaiyun ignored the grudges between Captain Cao and his men, looked at Mamidi, and said, "Uncle Master Mamidi, it can't be wrong, it was a zombie bite, the blood was sucked out. It must be a zombie." Mamidi also nodded. There was no doubt that the wound was a tooth hole bitten by a zombie. He said with a puzzled look on his face, "But how could a zombie come out to bite people in broad daylight?" Hearing this, Lin Kaiyun slowly said, "Uncle Master, I forgot to tell you before, this Nintendo has been injected with drugs and mutated. It is not afraid of sunlight or Taoism." Hearing this, Mamidi stood up and looked at Lin Kaiyun in disbelief, exclaiming loudly, "What? Not afraid of sunlight? Not afraid of Taoism, Lin Kaiyun nodded and said helplessly, "That's right. He is indeed not afraid, and it seems to have an amazing recovery ability." After injuring him, when he thought about the fact that the old zombie from Nintendo had escaped from his hands twice, he felt very angry. "Oh, by the way, Uncle Master, it can also release a gas that is extremely difficult to eliminate. That's why it escaped from my hands twice." Chapter 145 Taoist Simu, you're a big winner. Mamadi was shocked for a long time, went over the information in her mind, and said in a heavy voice, "Kaiyun, why did you tell me this now?" Seeing that the sloppy Mamadi was making a big deal out of it, Lin Kaiyun said slowly, "I just remembered that the Nintendo is not too powerful. Its defense and speed are far inferior to those of a level 6 zombie, but its means of escape are very annoying." Mamadi did not answer after hearing this. She covered her face with her dirty hands and wiped it with a big movement, as if she was thinking. Lin Kaiyun was also used to Mamadi's sloppy look, so he didn't dislike it too much. He approached Mamadi, turned in front of Mamadi, and asked with a sly smile, "Uncle Mamadi, you don't want to run away, do you?" Hearing this, Mamadi glanced at Lin Kaiyun and shouted angrily, "What are you talking about? Uncle Mamadi, are you that kind of person?" Lin Kaiyun smiled and asked, then, "Uncle Mamadi, what are you thinking about? You look so heavy." Mamadi was stunned for a moment, and said hesitantly, "Kaiyun, I'm thinking about whether I should find a helper." In Mamadi's opinion, he could deal with ordinary zombies, but he definitely had no way to deal with this kind of mutant. He didn't know much about the strength of his nephew, but he probably couldn't deal with it, so Mamadi had an idea in his heart that he was not very willing to do. Helper. After hearing what Mamadi said, Lin Kaiyun thought for a moment and seemed to know who Mamadi was talking about. He asked uncertainly, "Uncle Mamadi, you are not going to invite my master over, are you?" Lin Kaiyun clearly remembered that in the movie Music Zombie, it seemed that it was Lin Jiu and Mamadi who subdued Nintendo, so when he heard that Mamadi wanted to ask for help, he thought of his master Lin Jiu in all likelihood. "Humph, although my current strength is not weaker than your master Lin Jiu, there is strength in numbers." Mamadi saw that Lin Kaiyun had guessed it and admitted it very reluctantly. In Mamadi's heart, he was unwilling to bow his head in front of Lin Jiu, nor was he willing to admit that his strength was not as good as Lin Jiu, but now, the situation has become very complicated. In Mamadi's view, Nintendo was created by a Hao, and of course it was also because of his carelessness, so this zombie must be solved, but he really had no confidence. Among the people he could think of who could help, the strongest one was only Lin Jiu. Lin Kaiyun naturally knew what his uncle was thinking, but he didn't expose it. He just expressed his doubts, but Ren Tingting town is at least 3 days' journey from here. By then, who knows how many people Nintendo will harm. Mamadi picked his nose and said, "Who said your master is in Ren Tingting town?" Lin Kaiyun was shocked and asked quickly, "Uncle Mamadi, is master also in Ren Tingting?" "Not in Ren Tingting, but not far away." Mamadi shook his head, then took out a piece of yellow talisman paper from his arms, put his dirty fingers in his mouth, wet his saliva, folded it into a paper crane, and chanted the formula, "The sky and the earth are boundless. Kyankan borrows the law. Go." Mamadi put a drop of cinnabar on the eyes of the paper crane, and the paper crane trembled and spread its wings and flew away. Mamadi looked at the shadow of the paper crane and said, "Lin Jiu, he is with Simu now." "What? Master is with Uncle Simu? Is it in that bamboo house?" Lin Kaiyun exclaimed. And then subconsciously said, "When did master go there? Why didn't I know?" "Humph," Mamadi snorted coldly, put on the airs of an elder, and said, "Does your master have to report to you where he goes?" Although Mamadi's tone was very serious, the constant shaking of his body and the dirty clothes on his body made Lin Kaiyun disrespectful. "Haha, Uncle Mamadi is right," Lin Kaiyun responded casually. He knew that Mamadi was now actively asking Master Lin Jiu for help, and he must be holding back a rage in his heart. Seeing that the two had stopped talking, King finally had a chance to interrupt and asked, "Brother Lin, is your master really in the bamboo house? Then will my master, Master Kaiyun, come with him?" Lin Kaiyun shook his head and said, "I don't know about that, but it should be impossible." He remembered that in the movie, Master Kaiyun did not have anything to do with it. Although Mamadi brought a letter to Lin Jiu, Master Kaiyun would probably not come with him, and even Taoist Simu might not be able to come. "Ah. Okay," King pouted, obviously a little disappointed. At this time, Mamadi thought of a solution and said, "Kaiyun, Akiang, The three of us will put talismans on all the main entrances and exits of the village. Lin Kaiyun was speechless when he heard this. He felt that what he said before was in vain, so he repeated it again. Uncle Master Mamadi, the zombie from Nintendo is not afraid of Taoism, so talismans are useless. Mamadi patted his head awkwardly. He had completely forgotten about this and asked, your master will not arrive until tomorrow. What can we do now? Wait, dozens of miles away, there are beautiful mountains and clear waters, and a stream is flowing. 2 bamboo houses are located beside the mountain. Under the setting sun, it is very peaceful. 2 cakes, Pong, I touched one, red middle, win, 13 yellow. Taoist Simu pushed the mahjong tiles in front of him excitedly, stretched out his hand to Lin Jiu and Master Yixiu, and said, hurry up, give me money, brother, are you sure you didn't win by bombing? Why are there 2 cards missing? Lin Jiu really didn't want to expose Taoist Simu, but the cheating skills were so poor that it was an insult to their IQ. Really? Taoist Simu rolled his eyes when he heard it, and immediately pretended to be confused, shouting at Jail, how is it possible? Jail, did you steal my cards? Jail hesitated for a moment, he didn't do anything. Even the 2 cakes before were deliberately played to the master, but seeing Taoist Simu's eyes became more sharp. Jail swallowed, nodded, and whispered, yes, I accidentally stole 2 cards from master. After that, Jail handed the 2 cards on his left hand to Taoist Simu. Taoist Simu took the cards, slapped them on the table, and said very proudly, look, do I have a lot of cards, Amitabha? The number of cards is quite a lot. Master Yixiu put his hands together, looked at Taoist Simu with disdain, and gestured, but your 2 cards, one is 30,000 and the other is 8, and you don't win the game, so it's still a bomb. Chapter 146, Miserable Literary Talent. Taoist Simu was careless and completely ignored this matter. However, it cannot be blamed on him. After all, he did not play mahjong often and was not particularly skilled. This mahjong entertainment project is generally played by rich people, and Taoist priests are basically lone men, so they have no chance to play this mahjong. Until Lin Kaiyun made a set of mahjong by himself, when Taoist Simu passed by the charity cemetery in Renjia town, he was dragged to play a game with him. This game attracted Taoist Simu's character of liking to play new things, and he shamelessly asked Lin Kaiyun to make him another set of mahjong cards. But Taoist Simu did not have the opportunity to play this mahjong after that, mainly because there were not enough people. Master Yixiu was still Taoist Simu's mortal enemy before Lin Kaiyun came. In addition, Master Yixiu was rigid, so it was impossible for him to play mahjong with Taoist Simu. This time, Lin Jiu brought Wenkai to visit, giving Taoist Simu the opportunity to finally play the mahjong he had always dreamed of. However, his cheating methods were indeed a bit low level, and he was basically caught by Lin Jiu and Master Yixiu every time. At this time, Wenkai, who was outside the house, saw that the sun was about to set, and pressed his arm on his trembling thigh, and shouted to the house, Master, can I take a break for a while? Lin Jiu, Taoist Simu, Master Yixiu, and Jail were playing mahjong in the house, while Wenkai was alone in the yard doing horse dance. When Lin Jiu brought Wenkai to visit, it was also the first time that Lin Jiu met Jail, the apprentice of Taoist Simu. Taoist Simu was usually happy to compete with Lin Jiu, and began to brag about his apprentice, telling Lin Jiu that Jail was better than Chu Xing and Wenkai except Lin Kaiyun. Although Lin Jiu is a dull person, he is also very face-conscious. The most important thing is that what Taoist Simu said is right. Jail's talent and cultivation are really better than Wenkai and Chu Xing. In addition, Wenkai was clumsy as soon as he came here, looking at this and that, with a naughty look. Lin Jiu was disappointed with Wenkai, so he directly started the special training mode for Wenkai, and scheduled a martial arts competition between Wenkai and Chu Xing in a few days. So Wenkai has been living a miserable life these days, getting up earlier than a chicken and sleeping later than a donkey. Lin Jiu also estimated the time. Wenkai has practiced almost enough today, so he nodded and said, Wenkai, you should rest. Huh? Wenkai sighed that he was finally liberated when he heard it. He took 2 steps and sat down on the steps. He didn't bother to wipe the sweat off his face, and grinned as he pressed his sore thigh meat. Seeing Wenkai's look, Lin Jiu smiled with satisfaction. Although he wanted to compete with Taoist Simu, he also took the opportunity to let Wenkai change his bad habits. Although Wenkai was still lazy these days, he persisted. Lin Jiu knew very well that Wenkei was not a good material for cultivation. It was not enough to describe him as having no talent. It could be said that he had negative talent. 8 out of 10 times he was a hindrance. But Wenkei's character was not bad. After Lin Jiu had Lin Kaiyun, a gifted apprentice, he did not have too many requirements for Wenkei and Chu Sheng. Chu Sheng was smart and Wenkei was a little silly. So Lin Jiu only hoped that Wenkei could learn some martial arts so that he could have a skill. Taoist Simu turned his head and looked at Wenkei, who was sweating profusely, and said affirmatively, "Brother, I really didn't realize before that Wenkei can endure hardships." "Well, this is also the only advantage of Wenkei." Lin Jiu smiled and nodded. Whether Wenkei can endure hardships depends on whether he is ruthless. As long as he is determined, Wenkei will be very obedient. Seeing Wenkei's miserable appearance, Jiu was also very glad that he had some talent, otherwise his master Taoist Simu would be even more ruthless than Lin Jiu. Seeing that the time was almost up, Chu Sheng said, "Master, uncle, it's almost time. I should go prepare the meal." "Okay." When Taoist Simu heard this, he thought of a way to get out of the predicament. He pushed the mahjong tiles inside, rubbed his hands together, and said with a smile, "It's getting late, let's stop playing." Lin Jiu smiled when he saw this. "Junior brother, are you not going to pay?" Master Ikaiu put his hands together and agreed seriously. "Amitabha. Taoist Simu, I made an exception today and gambled with you. In the end, you still owe me the gambling money. Isn't that a bit unreasonable?" Okay. Seeing that the two people had no intention of letting him go, Taoist Simu took out a small bag from his arms, took out some copper coins, threw them to Lin Jiu and Master Ikaiu, and then muttered distressedly, "I should have known not to cheat earlier. Not only did I fail in a single game, but I also lost money." Lin Jiu shook the coins, tightened his wallet with peace of mind, stood up, patted Taoist Simu on the shoulder, and said with a smile, "Junior brother, this is what they call if you do too much evil, you will perish by your own evil. Amitabha, cause and effect will be cyclical, and there will be retribution." Master Ikaiu also added. "Hey!" Taoist Simu shuddered when he heard this, and shouted quickly, "I said you two wouldn't do that. I was just cheating at the card game, but you make it seem like I did something against the will of heaven and earth." "Ha ha ha!" Lin Jiu was also amused by Taoist Simu when he heard this, and he said immediately, "Junior brother, tell me honestly, did you learn this cheating at cards from Kaiyun?" "Ahem." Taoist Simu coughed lightly, concealing the truth on the surface, but in fact he said affirmatively, "Senior brother, I can't betray my nephew, can I?" "I absolutely can't say it." Lin Jiu remembered the time when Lin Kaiyun played mahjong with him, and the mysterious cheating. He said helplessly, "You haven't learned the essence of this. Kaiyun, when he was playing cards, Chu Sheng, Wenkei and I, 3 of us were staring at him, but we couldn't keep an eye on him." Taoist Simu got so angry when he mentioned this that he slammed the table, his teeth itching in anger. "Nonsense, that brat Lin Kaiyun said he wanted to teach me, but I had to pay tuition, and I am his uncle after all. How could I pay him tuition? So, I learned some things secretly." "Amitabha, you have such a good relationship, I am very envious." Master Ikaiu saw that the relationship between the few people was very sincere and harmonious, and immediately thought of his disciple Qingqing, and said slowly, "I don't know when Kaiyun and Qingqing will be able to come back." When Lin Jiu heard this, he also remembered Lin Kaiyun's voice and appearance. He was not good at speaking and he also had to save face, but Lin Kaiyun was the one he had taken care of since he was a child, and he was both a son and a disciple, so he was also thinking about him very much. Lin Jiu smiled and said, "Don't worry. I calculated that the 2 of them are out of danger and should be back soon." The reason why Lin Jiu brought Wenkei to Taoist Simu was because he felt that Lin Kaiyun was in danger, so he immediately got up and prepared to look for rescue. As soon as he arrived at Taoist Simu's place, even if Lin Kaiyun was no longer in danger, he simply stayed at Taoist Simu's place for a few days. At this moment, a paper crane flew into the house. Chapter 147. Why are you so rude? The paper crane swayed and landed on the mahjong table. Lin Jiu and Taoist Simu looked at each other and sought out in each other's eyes. This paper crane was specially used by Maotian to send messages, but the eyes of this paper crane were not opened with blood, but with cinnabar, which means it was not so urgent. Moreover, when the paper crane flew in, it was swaying, which showed that its power was not good enough. It shouldn't be Junior Brother Kaiyun, could it be? Taoist Simu muttered, picked up the paper crane casually, and instantly shook it as if he had touched an electric switch, complaining, "Hey, why is this paper crane sticky, sticky?" Lin Jiu thought about it, shook his head with a smile, and said, "I know who sent the message." Who? Taoist Simu was stunned for a moment, then reacted, and quickly threw the paper crane aside with disgust, looked up and said, "It must be junior brother Mamadi's, right? Then this sticky thing, can't it be his saliva?" Lin Jiu nodded affirmatively. "It should be. Pa. Taoist Simu felt sick when he thought of Mamadi's sloppy appearance and his saliva. He kept shaking his hands and shouted to the outside of the door, "Jiu, hurry up, get me some water, I want to wash my hands." Lin Jiu had no intention of taking the paper crane. He sat on the chair and poured himself a cup of kung fu tea. He said calmly, "Junior brother, don't wash your hands yet. Wash them after you finish reading it." Taoist Simu refused decisively and said with disgust, "Why? If you take it yourself, I want to vomit when I think about it now." Lin Jiu smiled and said, "Junior brother, your hands are covered with saliva anyway, so just read the contents." "Hey, why did I do that to you just now?" Taoist Simu thought it made sense. He sighed and patted the back of his hand and complained. Although he looked reluctant, he still forced himself to pick up the paper crane and read the contents inside. Taoist Simu flicked the paper crane away and handed it to Lin Jiu, saying, "Brother, that guy Mamadi is with your beloved disciple now. He is not far away in Renjiazhuang, but it seems that he encountered a difficult zombie. Although he didn't say it explicitly, he wanted to ask you to go and help." Lin Jiu turned his body to the side. He didn't want to take the paper crane. Anyway, he also knew the content of the letter. Mamadi is with Kaiyun? Kaiyun couldn't deal with the zombies he encountered. Lin Jiu was a little confused. You know, Lin Kaiyun's strength is almost the same as Taoist Simu, and Simu said that he had seriously injured the rebellious royal zombies before. Even Lin Kaiyun couldn't deal with it. Could it be a powerful zombie? "Junior brother, the matter is urgent, I will leave now." Lin Jiu was about to pack up his things after he finished speaking. When he thought of a powerful zombie harming people, he was very anxious, and he was also worried about the safety of his disciple Lin Kaiyun. Taoist Simu put away his playful expression, stopped Lin Jiu with a serious look, and said, "Brother, wait, let me pack up and go with you." "Junior brother, don't you have to set out to drive the corpses tomorrow? I can go by myself." Lin Jiu knew that although Taoist Simu looked unsound, he was no worse than him in the righteousness of eliminating zombies. Then he continued, "Besides, this zombie should be extremely difficult to deal with. If I still can't deal with it, it probably won't be of any use even with you." When Taoist Simu heard this, his expression was a little confused. He knew that Lin Jiu was thinking about him, but why did these words sound like he was saying that he was not strong enough and was dispensable? The matter was urgent, and Taoist Simu didn't have the time to argue with Lin Jiu. He cupped his hands and said, "Okay then. Senior brother, take care, don't worry, this zombie is probably just difficult to deal with. It shouldn't be very powerful, otherwise Mom wouldn't use this ordinary paper crane," Lin Jiu said as he packed his things. He carried the peach wood sword, took some talisman paper, cinnabar, and copper coins, put on his Taoist robe, and hung up the bagua mirror. "Master, are we going back today?" At this time, Wen Kai walked in and saw Lin Jiu getting ready to go, and he was a little confused. Seeing Wen Kai coming in, Lin Jiu just gave him a few instructions. "Wen Kai, I'm going to Renjiazhuang. You stay with your Uncle Simu for 2 days. Remember, don't cause trouble. If you encounter any problems, ask your Uncle Simu more. If your Uncle Simu is not here, go find Master Yixiu." Wen Kai heard it and hurried to Lin Jiu's side, helping Lin Jiu to organize the magic tools, and said in a mean way, "Master, you want to go by yourself? I'm bored here, take me with you." Lin Jiu glared at Wen Kai and scolded him, "Take you to make trouble? You practice martial arts obediently now, I will come back to check." Wen Kai shrank his neck, not daring to hesitate anymore, and said respectfully, "Okay. Then master, you go early and come back early." Lin Jiu nodded, said goodbye to Taoist Simu and Master Yixiu, and left. Renjiazhuang is dozens of kilometers away from Taoist Simu's bamboo house. According to the average person's walking speed, it takes at least 1 day and 1 night to walk there. Of course, Lin Jiu was definitely not an ordinary person. He used the speed runner and his spiritual power to run all night. At dawn, Lin Jiu had already arrived at the outskirts of Ren Jiu village. There were no signs of rampage in the entire Ren Jiu village, nor was there a heavy smell of blood. This meant that the zombie had not caused too much killing. For Lin Jiu, this was good news and made him feel relieved. After running all night, even an Iron Man would be tired. Lin Jiu jumped on a tree and prepared to rest for a while before setting off into the village. Looking down from a high place, Ren Jiu village was still peaceful and there was no sign of panic. However, the sharp-eyed Lin Jiu still found some white cloth hanging in front of several houses. Obviously some relatives had died. 1, 2, a total of 6 houses. It seems that the zombies have killed at least 6 or 7 people, Lin Jiu thought with a heavy face, and then he sat cross-legged on the tree trunk and took the time to recover his strength. Dong dong dong. Muffled sounds reached Lin Jiu's ears. The sound was like a wooden stake hitting the ground. Lin Jiu was naturally very familiar with such sounds. This was the sound made by zombies when they ran and jumped. Lin Jiu did not make any sound, but lowered his breathing frequency and searched for the zombie nearby. Soon, Lin Jiu found a trace of the zombie. An old man wearing a Qin dynasty shroud, not tall, hunched over, with a lot of blood on his clothes, and thick teeth, like a wild dog. It just sucked blood. The zombie that Mama was talking about should be this one. Lin Jiu focused his eyes and quickly made a judgment. Chapter 148 Uncle 9. This zombie was exactly Nintendo. It jumped around and it was hard to tell where it was going. It seemed to have come out of Renjiazhuang, and it seemed to be looking for something. Lin Jiu looked up and saw the sun gradually rising. His eyes moved and he thought of a way. He was very careful and did not make any sound. He took out the ink line, wiped it with his fingers, coated it with a layer of spiritual energy, and threw it silently under the tree. Whenever Nintendo passed by, it would be entangled by the ink line. As long as it was trapped for a while, the sun would come out and the zombie would naturally disappear. Dong dong dong. Every time Nintendo jumped, it made a muffled sound of hitting the ground, and it was getting closer and closer to Lin Jiu's position. Be good, don't take a detour, just jump forward. Lin Jiu pinched the ink line with his fingers and stared at Nintendo. Nintendo did not notice anything and really jumped under the tree step by step according to Lin Jiu's calculations. Now, Lin Jiu saw Nintendo passing under the tree and directly pulled the ink line. Click. The ink line attached to the tree suddenly bounced up and directly entangled Nintendo's feet. Just as Lin Jiu took out the peach wood sword and prepared for the next move, Nintendo's action below surprised Lin Jiu. After being entangled by the ink line, Nintendo was not affected at all. He stretched out his claws to cut all the ink lines, and lifted the ink line in front of him. His face showed a puzzled expression like a human, and he made a wow wow sound. This zombie is actually intelligent. Lin Jiu was a little surprised to see Nintendo's appearance. He put away the peach wood sword and subconsciously moved his feet. Crunch! A piece of withered and dry bark on the tree trunk was stepped on by Lin Jiu, making a clear sound. Oh no! Lin Jiu reacted quickly and held his breath. However, a copper coin in the cloth bag accidentally fell down and hit Nintendo on the head. Ouch! Nintendo raised his paw and patted his head. He felt the copper coin and picked it up curiously and put it in front of him. Ouch! Nintendo tilted his head in confusion. It was obvious that the copper coin that suddenly appeared made him very puzzled. Just when Lin Jiu held his breath and thought about how to deal with this zombie, Nintendo, holding the ink line and the copper coin, stood under the tree and started to study it. He bit it with his teeth from time to time and put it on his nose to smell it. Lin Jiu couldn't hold it anymore. He breathed carefully and looked at Nintendo vigilantly. As long as he was discovered, Lin Jiu would decisively take action. However, Nintendo was only concerned with studying the copper coin and the ink line. He was so fascinated that he didn't notice Lin Jiu's existence at all. What kind of zombie is this? Lin Jiu felt that he had encountered a blind spot in knowledge. He suddenly realized that the experience of conquering and eliminating zombies in the past 10 years seemed to be insufficient. At least the behavior of the following zombie made Lin Jiu guess. But, that's fine, anyway, it's almost dawn. Lin Jiu glanced at the sky, put away the peach wood sword, and patiently spent time with Nintendo. Time passed by minute, and Nintendo, like a child, curiously and patiently studied these two things. The sun has come out. Lin Jiu clearly felt that the surroundings were bright. And even though there were leaves blocking the sun still shone down. Lin Jiu took out a bagua mirror and observed Nintendo below. Although it was only the morning sun, it was not as lethal as the noon sun, but it was enough to kill zombies. After all, sunlight is the natural enemy of zombies. And now Lin Jiu's task is to subdue Nintendo when it is burned by the sun and wants to escape. As the sun rises, the sunlight gradually moves over. However, the tree where Lin Jiu rested is not short. Not only is the trunk thick, but the crown is also very large, blocking the sunlight. Oh no, the sun can't get in at all. Seeing this, Lin Jiu was a little anxious. He kept thinking of ways in his mind, and finally made a decision, that is, to force the zombie into the sun. This method is very risky. Lin Jiu can detect through the corpse gas emitted by Nintendo that Nintendo is probably a level 6 zombie. It is not so easy for Lin Jiu to deal with zombies at this stage, but the opportunity cannot be missed, otherwise it will be more difficult to deal with it in the future if it is killed in the sun. Lin Jiu took out 2 arrows from the cloth bag, then wrapped the cloth around the arrows, and then tied the ink line covered with the black dog blood to the tail of the arrow. With a bang, Lin Jiu suddenly jumped down, and while Nintendo did not react, he shot the arrows one by one, inserted them into the tree trunk, and sandwiched Nintendo in the middle. Then Lin Jiu turned his hands, grabbed the ink line tightly, and swung it crosswise to tie Nintendo tightly. Ha! Lin Jiu shouted, kicked his feet, put the ink line on his shoulders with both hands, and desperately dragged Nintendo into the sunlight like dragging cargo. Nintendo was originally studying copper coins and ink lines, but was tied up by Lin Jiu, who suddenly appeared. Before he could react, he was dragged into the sunlight without any resistance. Lin Jiu did not expect it to be so smooth. He took out another arrow wrapped in yellow cloth from his arms and turned around to stab it into Nintendo's head. As a result, Lin Jiu turned around and was stunned. What's going on? Lin Jiu muttered in his heart. Nintendo was completely exposed to the sun, but it seemed that it was not affected at all, and there was no sign of being burned by the sun. Without thinking too much, Lin Jiu urged his spiritual power and directly inserted the arrow into Nintendo's forehead. Then he took out a few corpse-suppressing talismans and quickly stuck them on Nintendo's forehead. Lin Jiu thought he had conquered this zombie. He rubbed his hands and couldn't help muttering, "What kind of zombie is this? It's so strange that it's not afraid of the sun," he was thinking. As a result, Nintendo, who had a command arrow stuck in his forehead and a talisman pasted on him, actually raised his claws and tore off the talisman. What? Lin Jiu was shocked, then thought quickly in his mind, stepped back a few steps, and hid behind a tree. This zombie is not afraid of the sun, nor is it afraid of talismans. I have to find out what's going on. Lin Jiu has been collecting zombies and exorcising ghosts for so many years and is very experienced. He immediately found out that something was wrong with Nintendo and had new ideas. He took out a piece of corpse mud from the cloth bag and smeared it on his 2 eye sockets to suppress his popularity. Then he prepared a few arrows wrapped in yellow cloth and pretended to stab them into his body. After preparing all this, Lin Jiu staggered out as if he had been shot by an arrow, and made a sound like a zombie. Oh. Chapter 149 Test. Lin Jiu was now covered by the corpse mud, and all his human smell was covered. He staggered and fell at Nintendo's feet, making a sound of help. "I'm dying." Nintendo heard Lin Jiu's voice, lowered his head and pulled out the yellow cloth arrow directly, and used his claws to break the yellow cloth arrow. After breaking the yellow cloth arrow, Nintendo tilted his head and his eyes turned around, as if he was thinking about something. Is this zombie thinking about something? Does he know me? It's impossible. Lin Jiu squinted his eyes to peek at Nintendo's strange behavior, then took out a Taiyi wooden plate from the cloth bag and stuffed it into his chest. Roar! Nintendo roared angrily, remembering that there was a Taoist priest who attacked it with this yellow cloth arrow, and it threw the arrow aside angrily. Then Nintendo pulled Lin Jiu up, sniffed at Lin Jiu, and asked in zombie language in confusion, "Why don't you smell like a zombie?" Lin Jiu simply smeared corpse mud on his eye sockets, which could temporarily cover up his popularity, but of course he didn't smell like a zombie. Lin Jiu knew that he couldn't show his weakness now, so he also answered in zombie language, "I just died a few days ago, of course I don't smell like a zombie." After hearing this, Nintendo thought about it. With its IQ, Of course it couldn't find any problems, so it asked, "Hey, where are you going?" Lin Jiu pretended to be weak, turned his head towards the direction of Renjiazhuang, and made a sound, "I'm going to Renjiazhuang." Nintendo heard this and nodded in a humane way. Although the amplitude was not large, the action was definitely an odd. Then Nintendo continued to speak in zombie language, "Renjiazhuang? Oh, I just came out of there. It was very dangerous inside. There was a very powerful Taoist priest, and I was beaten very hard." A very powerful Taoist priest? That should be Kaiyun. He knew Mamadi's strength and could not deal with this zombie. Lin Jiu thought, and then said, "Where are you going now?" Although Nintendo has wisdom, it can only distinguish simple hostile relationships. Its overall cognitive ability is not as strong as that of an 8-year-old child. In addition, it now has a zombie companion who can chat with it, so it naturally answers whatever it wants. Nintendo replied with a whine, "Oh, I'm going to meet other zombies. I can smell that there are coffin fungi there. They are delicious." Other zombies? Coffin fungi? When Lin Jiu heard this word, he muttered in his heart. Could it be that this zombie is not afraid of anything because of the coffin fungi? Lin Jiu shook his body and made a zombie sound. "I have nowhere to go, so I'll go with you." "Okay," Nintendo agreed without thinking, and stopped studying the copper coins. He turned around and led the way, jumping up. Lin Jiu quietly took out a cinnabar pen and drew a line on the tree beside him. He was going to investigate now, and he might not be able to go to Renjiazhuang, so he left some information. As long as Kaiyun saw it, he would definitely guess it. Then, Lin Jiu also acted like a zombie, raised his arms, and jumped behind Nintendo. Of course, Lin Jiu didn't forget to find a chance to destroy this Nintendo. After jumping for a while, Lin Jiu took out a command flag from his arms while Nintendo was not on guard, bit his finger, smeared the blood on the root of the command flag, and then shouted in a low voice, "The sun sets and the sand is bright. The world is upside down, the universe is boundless, and the law is boundless. Go." A golden light flashed where the blood was smeared, and then Lin Jiu shook the flag and threw it fiercely, inserting 5 command flags into the back of Nintendo. However, Nintendo was like nothing happened, and didn't realize that he was attacked at all, and continued to jump rhythmically. "Are you not afraid of the command flag?" Lin Jiu's eyes were full of doubts. At this time, Nintendo noticed that there was no more jumping sound behind him. He turned around and looked at Lin Jiu, and said, "Hey, why did you stop? You jumped in front of me." "Ouch!" Lin Jiu made a sound, and had no choice but to do as he was told. He raised his arm and jumped in front of Nintendo. The fake zombie and the real zombie continued on their way, but Lin Jiu still did not give up the opportunity to attack Nintendo. He shook his wrist and a few copper coins fell into his hand, and then threw them forward quickly. The copper coins hit the tree trunk and bounced back. Lin Jiu jumped sideways to avoid them, and the copper coins flew straight to Nintendo. Roar! Nintendo found the copper coins, did not dodge, opened his mouth, and bit the copper coins in his mouth. Lin Jiu saw this scene with his peripheral vision. It was not surprising that the copper coins did not work. He took out a purple talisman from his arms. This was one of the core magic talismans of the inner sect of Maotian, the Purple Thunder God Talisman. Lin Jiu put the talisman on his forehead, pretending to be hit, jumped back, turned around and faced Nintendo forehead to forehead, and took the opportunity to put the Purple Thunder Talisman on Nintendo's forehead. It should work this time. Lin Jiu drew a bagua under his feet, bent his fingers to pinch the magic formula, and was about to activate the talisman. But when he looked up, he found that Nintendo had taken off the talisman and handed it to him with a puzzled look. "Ouch, it hurts." Lin Jiu pretended to be injured by the talisman, and fell to the ground with a flat goose style, then squinted his eyes and secretly looked at Nintendo. Nintendo didn't doubt it at all, and spit the copper coin in his mouth to the side. Under Lin Jiu's gaze, he actually stuffed the talisman into his mouth and ate it. Lin Jiu was shocked, even the Purple Thunder God Talisman was eaten. Nintendo chewed and swallowed the Purple Thunder God Talisman, turned his head, observed the surrounding situation, and found nothing wrong. Then he pulled Lin Jiu up, whining, "Don't be afraid, I'll protect you from behind." Lin Jiu responded and continued to jump in front. Passing by a big tree, Lin Jiu took out a bagua mirror and quietly stuck it on the trunk. Then he pretended to be burned by the bagua mirror, jumped back repeatedly, and made painful sounds. During this period, Lin Jiu also turned over a few somersaults and did a few carp jumps, which perfectly portrayed the way he was sucked and pushed by the Bagua mirror. Seeing Lin Jiu's appearance, Nintendo was completely confused, and his attention was attracted by Lin Jiu. Seeing that Nintendo was facing away from the Bagua mirror, Lin Jiu secretly thought that the time had come. He spun his hands and jumped up, pulled open his clothes, revealing the Taiyi wooden plate on his chest, and bumped into Nintendo. He pushed hard and leaned Nintendo against a tree, sandwiched between the Taiyi wooden plate and the Bagua mirror. "Oh. What's wrong with you?" Nintendo looked at Lin Jiu with an expression of caring for a mentally retarded person. "It's useless," Lin Jiu complained in his heart, and then pretended to be bounced away, pulled his clothes and covered the Taiyi wooden plate on his chest. Chapter 150 I'm afraid of injections. 150 Roar, what are you doing? Nintendo shouted in confusion, staring at Lin Jiu in confusion. Ouch! Lin Jiu stretched out his finger and repeatedly pointed at the Bagua mirror on the tree behind Nintendo. Nintendo understood what Lin Jiu meant, turned around, saw the Bagua mirror, stretched out his claws very naturally, grabbed the Bagua mirror, and threw it aside. Lin Jiu was very helpless. Yin-yang 5 elements, Bagua combined into one will not work. Roar! Nintendo jumped in front of Lin Jiu, turned his body repeatedly, and made a sound from his mouth. You go first, I'll take a look around first, Alice. Lin Jiu sighed, and could only continue to pretend to be a zombie and jump forward. After observing for a while, Nintendo found nothing unusual, and jumped to catch up with Lin Jiu. Seeing Nintendo following him, Lin Jiu took out a copper coin sword without giving up, and the spiritual power of his fingers emerged, and drew a few lines on the copper coin sword, then put his palm against the hilt and pushed it forward. Lin Jiu controlled it with his fingers, and the copper coin sword flew in the air, leaped forward, circled the tree twice, and turned back. Lin Jiu tilted his head back and pointed at Nintendo, and the copper coin sword stabbed directly into Nintendo's chest. Crash! The red rope of the copper coin sword broke, and it actually scattered and fell to the ground. This zombie is not afraid of anything. After many experiments, Lin Jiu finally came to an unbelievable conclusion that this zombie is really not afraid of anything. Lin Jiu jumped in front of Nintendo and asked with a howl, "Why are you not afraid of anything? What are you afraid of?" "I'm afraid of injections," Nintendo told Lin Jiu very straightforwardly. It raised its claws, pointed at its neck, and then said, "It's okay, I will help you." With me jumping in front, you don't have to be afraid of anything. After that, Nintendo jumped in front to lead the way. Not afraid of anything? How to eliminate it? Should I follow this zombie now? Or go to meet up with Kaiyun? Lin Jiu jumped, thinking non-stop in his mind. As he was thinking, he felt the urge to urinate. People have 3 urgent needs, water and fire. Lin Jiu was thinking about something and was a little distracted. He jumped to the river beside him by instinct, unbuttoned his pants, and urinated. Nintendo found that there was no jumping sound behind him. He turned around and saw Lin Jiu standing by the river. He asked, "What are you doing there?" Lin Jiu didn't think about it and said casually, "I'm peeing." Nintendo was stunned for a moment after hearing it. Although its ability to distinguish is not as good as that of a child, it knows very well that zombies can't urinate or defecate. Then it roared, "How can zombies urinate?" Hearing the roar, Lin Jiu suddenly looked up and thought to himself, "Oh no, zombies can't pee." Roar! Nintendo roared angrily, raised his claws, and grabbed Lin Jiu. This zombie is not afraid of anything. Lin Jiu couldn't think of a way to destroy it. It would definitely not work to fight head-on. 36 strategies. Run. Lin Jiu tied his pants and jumped into the river. He didn't care that he had peed in the river before. He just wanted to save his life. Roar. Damn liar. Nintendo roared angrily and kept cursing Lin Jiu in zombie language. He stared at Lin Jiu in the river. He didn't dare to go into the water. He jumped around anxiously and followed the direction of Lin Jiu swimming on the shore and chased him. Why is this zombie so vengeful? Lin Jiu couldn't hold his breath in the water anymore. He popped his head out and saw Nintendo still following him on the shore. He was speechless. Obviously, the previous trip together angered Nintendo, and he chased Lin Jiu like a mad dog. Ren Tingting, Lin Kaiyun, Mama and others lived in Ren Tingting's house. They thought Nintendo would come back to suck the blood of their relatives, but he didn't show up after waiting for a day. Moreover, there was no zombie attack in Ren Jiu during the whole day. At this time, it was time for dinner, and Ren Jiu asked the kitchen to prepare a sumptuous dinner for the few people. Kaiyun, the old zombie won't run away, will it? Mama asked, taking a bite of the steamed bun in her hand, and holding the chicken leg in the other hand, she kept putting it into her mouth. The oil and water splashed on her nose, and Mama rubbed her nose very naturally, and picked her nose by the way, and continued to eat the dinner in front of her. It shouldn't be, I guess Nintendo will appear tonight, Lin Kaiyun replied, and he turned his head away from Mama at this time. After all, it was easy to lose his appetite. The reason why he came to this conclusion was that the blood of zombies' relatives was very attractive to zombies, and secondly, he clearly remembered that in the movie, Nintendo wandered around Ren Jiu and didn't go anywhere else. Well, then we'll wait another night, Mama nodded, stopped talking about zombies, and started eating in silence. Gurgle, Ahau heard the sound of Mama eating, and his stomach growled. He swallowed and begged, Master, you are also starving, please let me eat a bite. At this time, Ahau was standing upside down by the wall, with 2 stones hanging on his legs, and Mama also asked that his legs must not be bent, otherwise the punishment would be increased. As for why Mama punished Ahau, the reason was very simple, that is, Ahau lost his Nintendo, which caused such a big disaster. Shut up, otherwise, add 2 more hours. Mama didn't even raise her head, stretched out her hand to scratch her butt, and continued to gnaw on the chicken leg. Master, you really can't blame me, it was my senior brother who was peeping at that time. Ahau couldn't hold on any longer, he was hungry and tired. He glanced at Lin Kaiyun, and plucked up the courage to tell Lin Kaiyun about peeping at Ren Jiu taking a bath, but before he finished speaking, he was interrupted by a basin of hot soup spilled on him. Ah, it's scalding me. Ahau was soaked by the hot water. He jumped up immediately, but the stones on his legs destroyed his balance, and he fell to the side in an instant. Sorry, my hand slipped just now, Ren Jiu, holding a small copper basin, said apologetically. No one noticed that a sly smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. Ren Jiu went to the kitchen to get soup, but when she came back, she heard Ahau talking about peeping at the bathing. No matter whether Lin Kaiyun really peeped, he was her cousin, Ren Tingting's fiancé after all. If this matter got out, even Ren Jiu, who is a maverick, would feel ashamed and even embarrassed. How could she meet her cousin Ren Tingting in the future? Master, you really can't blame me. I was just curious at the time. What was senior brother Kaiyun doing? That's why I didn't pay attention. Ahau lay on the ground with tears in his eyes. Fortunately, the hot soup was not boiling hot, otherwise it would be terrible. Humph, after hearing Ahau's explanation, Mama put down the chicken leg that was almost gone, walked up to Ahau with her hands behind her back, and scolded, Did I ask you to transport Nintendo's body? Brother Kaiyun, we were just passing by. Whatever we did had nothing to do with you, and you left Nintendo behind, that's your problem. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone, see you in the next video.